Yeah. Live
Yeah.
is always so scary.
No, if it's Truth Thursday. You're just speaking your truth, and your truth is the best of your knowledge and ability right now. And I'm sure I think I can speak for you in this regard that with more evidence, the your ideas could change as mine could. So I reserve the right to change my opinion. This is just my opinion as of February
Today.
13th, 2025,
Whew.
with the information that I have
I
collected
res-
over these years.
Amen. I
Uh,
reserve the right
would
to change my mind and my
yeah,
underwear some point.
sure, I guess. Yeah, do that often, but imagine
My behaviors. I'm changing my
you do
behaviors
too.
because of you.
Yeah. Well, that's so
I
we're
wrote
live
you. I
already.
wrote a book about you. I wrote a book about you. It's literally about you. Like it's literally I wrote a book about you.
That's that's buckle up.
I know.
Um,
Well, it's a
but
lot of other people too, but it's a lot of you, mainly you.
while we're getting started, well, yeah, go to rg-8.com, rg-8.com to get your Regenerate if you're trying to quit
R-G-8.
alcohol or quit shopping or, it removes the need to need. It's a great supplement. I
Hell
might be
yeah.
biased. But it helped a lot of people.
Help me.
Passion project. And go there, please. And then come do my bike tour because my bike tour is awesome. And
It
that's
is
why I'm red
awesome.
faced today because I did 4 hours of biking in 33-degree weather. So maybe it hit 36. I don't know. But so I'm a little wind burned today.
Oh, that's
Is
what
there
it
any
is.
other? Is there
Burn.
any other? You know, bit order business or
Business
notes
order.
that
You can
that you want to talk about before we talk
Well,
about
they can
these?
always check out iloveangelashelton.com because it's got your links on it too. It's got all the stuff I
Yeah.
use,
Yeah.
which is Regenerate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The stuff is amazing, by the way. Just
Check
side
out
note.
her website. I
Side
agree.
note, I have taken your Regenerate that helps people get off of benzos and alcohol, and I
Mhm.
looked at it as something to.
Oh, you're back. You're back. No, you're not there.
You're not. You're not there.
Now you're there.
I'm there. Don't
You're there.
touch.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you can't tap your microphone. That's a very sensitive microphone.
Cannot
So, what
touch
were
it.
you saying?
Well, I have taken your wonderful concoction, this supplement, and now I make drinks with it. I put it into formulas. I make little muffins. I'm doing all kinds of things. And by the way, just side note, this is you've also inspired me because I'm a big cook, and the book that I wrote about you is called Meat, Milk, and Men.
Or also, as I think you should name it, just
Meat, milk, and men. I started
mm.
making my own spices, Sean.
That's like you're
Like
like a Betty Crocker over
I
there.
am. I'm like, but I dehydrated all. I dehydrated this garlic and this onions and these jalapenos, and I'm making all these little
Well,
concoctions,
you
and
did
I'm
have a cooking
trying it.
show, so it's a
Well, I do have a cooking show, but I'm also
obvious
trying
evolution.
it with Regenerate. So, like putting
Yeah.
Regenerate in things that you wouldn't necessarily think to put it in. So it like gives you
Yeah.
little the heat that it gives you, like where you get that kind of rush of heat, and it gives you clarity to kind of have that all day.
Yeah. I
Little
love
things.
your idea of putting it into a big canteen and sip on it all day. Put 3 doses in it and just
Yeah.
feel the burn.
With
Yeah.
fever tree, anything fever tree, like fever tree ginger beer, fever tree grapefruit, like literally anything from fever tree mixed with Regenerate is it makes it like a
Hmm.
beer.
Yeah, because it's a little bitter, and so you mix it with something that's slightly sweet, and then it comes out like a beer. So
It's fantastic. Anyway,
yeah.
it's helped me a lot, and I commend and I thank you because now here we are. I've known you what
Mhm.
4 years now. Look at my hair, Sean.
5?
5 years. No, 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Look at my
2020,
hair
right?
because of you. But I'm like, I started doing all the stuff, like eating the meat and the raw milk
Yeah.
and magnesium and all the stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like behind you. I'm not doing what all y'all guys are doing, but I'm doing so much,
Mhm.
and I'm seeing the difference. And Jean
Yeah.
is seeing the difference too. Jean just came on here. I'm seeing a big difference, and so I just wanted to say, like, look at my hair. I stopped coloring it. I just let it go gray, but it's
Mhm.
actually like more. I feel like it's healthier. And you'd said that once that you grow your hair because it shows health.
Oh, no, I don't think I put it like that, but I said that hair and nails are a sign of health. If you have strong nails, strong, thick hair, then the America finger.
This was my America
It's the
finger.
America finger.
This is my America. Here it is.
Yeah, you got that America finger.
Hey, Gene. Hey, Gene. So
Where
we
do
were
you
going to
see
talk about
Gene? I don't see.
things.
Oh, I see Gene now. Okay,
Yes,
got it. Got it. Got it.
Gene's in. She's probably on your YouTube, I bet.
Yeah. Um. All right. So.
I got some questions for you.
All right. I've got. I've got answers for all but one topic. But go ahead. What you got?
So, something to like as we get healthier, body, mind, and spirit,
Mhm.
it does cause you to stop talking and
You
listen.
think? Okay.
And then when you are listening and like stop talking, basically in your parasympathetic nervous system,
Hmm.
you can realize, if you are willing, that you've been essentially studying the wrong textbook.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
So,
figuratively and literally. Like
yeah.
in the world of life, like you've been such a good student
Hmm.
studying this one textbook that is all one big lie.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that people, like, I've been on this for more than a decade now, and it's felt really lonely for a while, but now it's like everyone is starting to get things. I find myself in unusual places where people start talking to me about stuff, and yeah, I think we're in the midst of a great awakening.
Well, and I bring that up because a lot of people, they might be awakening, and then you're like, but I've been studying this. I've been studying.
Oh,
I'm such a good student.
right. So,
I've been indoctrinated. I've been programmed. I've been poisoned.
yeah.
And that moment when you're on that precipice where you're like, do you go further into your awakening and understand that every single thing you've been studying is a lie?
Well, yeah, and then also when you go further into it, you can essentially what you're talking about is getting rid of ego when you
Oh,
get down to the bottom of it.
I guess so. Yeah.
Hmm.
Good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Also, I mean, the people who have bought into it's deep, right? It's layered because it's like there's society lies, there's the lies to the government, there's lies from your school, there's lies from your church, there's lies from your own perpetrator parents or what. It's like layers and layers and layers of lies, and then
what
everybody. Go
and
ahead.
there's like white hat lies, people that believe that they know the way and they're teaching you, but they've been lied to, and they integrate things into their ego, and they're not going to budge on it, and that gets passed down to you too.
Right. So
Mentors, parents, grandparents.
there's that place where you're like, wow, do you really adamantly believe the old textbook because you just won't budge? Or do you awaken more? I personally see in my own life and in the lives that I'm seeing, like Gene, is
Mhm.
like as you wake up with your body, mind, and spirit. So as you get healthier, your mind opens more. And then you're able
Mhm.
to like, oh, like
You mean
see,
you mean you become more open-minded?
literally.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've noticed a lot, especially all the turmoil we've been through for the past 4 years, that there are people that will adamantly hold on to their indoctrination. And I
Yeah.
think honestly, because you're attached to the textbook.
Well, I think that it's integrated into your ego,
Yeah.
and then if anything touches your ego, rather than taking it as questioning one of your beliefs, you take it as questioning, or you take it as an attack on your person.
Like
So
your
it's
identity. Right.
your identity. So it's hard for some people who are really egoic to, because they feel that it's criticism, and it's not an attack on them. It's an attack on whatever system we're talking about, whether it's healthcare or government or whatever it is. So it is not. It is when you tie something to your ego, and you're bringing it into yourself. And a lot of these things have nothing to do with you, not you, but the proverbial you.
Right.
And so to get offended by that is like is it doesn't behoove you in any way. It doesn't push you forward. You have to realize what is you and what is not you. And a lot of people have really big egos, and you know what? With our indoctrination, that is the plan, is to make everybody have a really big ego.
It's so
Because
delicate. It's just so delicate.
right, well, because no, if you're, just think about this, if you are trying to control millions or billions of people, do you want billions of thinkers?
Yeah, no.
No, you don't want billions of thinkers. Would it behoove you to have billions of worker bees that attach everything to their ego that you've taught them, or that's pushed through culture, society, Project Mockingbird, and then
Ultra.
anytime somebody, MK Ultra, anytime somebody touches on something that you've brought into your ego, then you're going to fight it as if they're attacking you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To separate that stuff that we talk about or stuff that others talk about, if it triggers an emotional reaction in you, the proverbial you need to take a breath and think, did this just attack me? Did this just attack me, or did this attack one of my beliefs? And if it attacked one of your beliefs and you're getting emotional about it, why?
Right. Why?
Why?
Why so red faced? Why so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and I've run into this, and you've seen it before, talking to a specific color team, blue team. It's so easy to trigger them. Now there's
And
those on, there's those on the red team that are really easy to trigger, but
yep.
it's a shorter list. On the blue team, there's a massive list
That
that
will
that can,
super upset them.
right. And then once you're in an emotionally triggered state, you're not in your being, you're in your human. So you're in an animalistic state. And then you can't learn, and you can't expand your consciousness. So without further ado, why don't we trigger some people? Let's go.
God, oh God, oh God. Well, it goes back to tracking the problem. And I mean, I know I talk about it a lot, but I'm a broken record, but it really is a good base for me to start at. Is my science fair project when I was 12, what opened my mind, which was the same that opened Ian Carroll's mind, was the grocery store. So when I started studying the grocery store, and that was my science fair project, to look at the ingredients and then study the ingredients and see the effects they had on the body. And the additives and preservatives, mainly the colors, did 100% have health defects, birth defects, illnesses, tons of illnesses, et cetera, et cetera. And then you are sick and you go to your doctor, and then your doctor puts you on a series of meds. And then my program, my little presentation, showed that the people who are giving you the cure are the same people who are giving you the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. It's a simple, they own the box, and then they own the outside of the box, and then they own the ads around the box. And so basically the only way to get out of that is to not go in the box. But then you could apply that to every system. And if you track it to the people who are causing the problems or the people who are giving you the cure, and the people who are giving you the cure are the people who gave you the problem.
Yeah. I mean, let's take it as something as non-triggering as shampoo. You know, there's the majority of big box shampoos that are on your grocery stores are loaded with stuff that will cause your hair to fall out.
It's weird,
But
right?
but
It's like,
don't be surprised that they own Rogaine and they own all of the tonics and potions to regrow your hair. So it behooves them for you to lose your hair so that they can give you things to help you regrow your hair. And you know, this goes into the healthcare system. The healthcare system, and people like this is it's so simple, but people have a hard time grasping this. When you're the CEO of a company, you have a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, which means you cannot make any decisions that will lower the value of the company or make the company make less money. So then the motto is a patient cured is a patient lost.
yeah, so don't cure cancer. Just keep
Don't.
creating it.
Right. And well, not just cancer, but don't you want to provide things that mask symptoms,
Yeah, like Tums.
which is the opposite of what you should take if you have heartburn.
Exactly. By
Right.
the way, side note, I have legit watched you cure people of their heartburn for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, that's a perfect example. It was one little pill. You have to buy that bottle once.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
Ish.
$8 for that bottle. And
Yeah.
then, yes, if you have no more physical or emotional stress and you have low stomach acid, aka heartburn, you take those pills, you'll never have to take them again.
Oh no.
But if
And then
you
you're
have
done.
physical or emotional stress in your future, you may have to take them again because physical or emotional stress can reduce the pH of your stomach acid, causing the heartburn or the low stomach acid condition to represent itself. So the point is, you might have to just
Those are,
it's the solution that works with the body rather
yeah.
than the solution that battles the body. And if you work with the body, you're going to have better results because the body has a supreme intelligence. I mean, what keeps your heart beating? What keeps you breathing when you're asleep? What grows your hair? What fixes your cuts? What
Yeah.
fixes your ankles, your knees, your wrists? If you hurt anything, what fixes that? It's your body's innate supreme intelligence. So you never want to take a pill like heartburn medication or blood pressure medication because now you're battling what the body is trying to do. And
Crazy.
you're going to cholesterol medication because the body is raising your cholesterol for a reason. The body is raising your blood pressure for a reason. It's smarter than you.
And what about all these antidepressants people are on? My God.
Oh my God.
Like, my
Well,
God. And if they
well,
get go into the sun and go dance around and go play.
right. And then they don't even, the medical establishment admits that they don't know why SSRIs work. So if they don't know how it works, how did it get approved? But also Tylenol and ibuprofen would probably not be approved if they were
Today.
honest. Yeah, if they were honest about it.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hmm.
I notice all the time, like if I start having a headache, you were so right. It's magnesium, not ibuprofen, not Tylenol, nothing. Just have
Salt,
magnesium in your house and salt.
salt, magnesium, water. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, because
amazing.
it's generally dehydration. You need more minerals.
It's like just the smallest thing. So one thing that came up today that I'd love to help since Jean is on here too, is these ladies that have had uh, panic, anxiety, child abuse, like the whole 9 yards, and they have fat pockets. And I know you've talked about it again. I'd love to hear it again, where it's like, okay, it's losing that old heavy weight is a little. You were talking about that once. We talk about that where you like hold emotions in your fat, and you have to like it's a lymph node drainage. It's like
Mm.
There's more to it than just like cut out carbs. You know what I mean? You were talking about weight at one point. I think we were not even recording, and I was like, "Hey, can we talk about that?"
Yeah,
That's
you're tap dancing on a couple different topics. So
tap dancing.
we're not literally tap dancing, but so there's a few things.
Oh,
So
David's here.
when you're talking about emotions, emotions are stored in the fascia and in the body, not in the mind. So, you could have muscle knots, you could have a limb not working right, and the body is not releasing that emotion because it doesn't believe that you can deal with it right now. Because you already have too much physical, chemical, or emotional stress where it's not releasing it. But then you were talking about fat, or
Yeah,
is that
that
not it?
you mentioned it a while ago, and I don't remember exactly what it was. That's why I was like, I wanted to talk about like uh, heavier women who are holding on to all that old child abuse stuff.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
like when you start getting better and you start doing the carnivore diet and you're like, it's like you're getting healthier, but then there's like pockets of fat. It's almost like, how can we help those women? It's like getting
Oh, well,
minerals, right? Is number one.
yeah, pockets of fat. Well,
You know what I mean? Like it's like the back fat, it's the butt, it's this stuff right here.
right. So, okay, well, there's a number of things. So, okay, if
Doc. Hey, Doc Sean.
if you're not able to use part of your nervous system, maybe you have really bad forward head posture, your lymphatic flow is not going to be adequate in certain areas. So you will hold water, or it'll look like fat, perhaps. So no matter how much calories you cut, no matter how extreme of a diet you go on, it's still going to be there. So you could have like a skinny fat person where they're like have no muscle, no size, no fat anywhere, but then they have like, a pocket of something somewhere. There's one called the Dowdzer hump. I might be pronouncing that wrong, where that's the back of the neck. Have you ever
Oh
seen
yeah,
that?
like I've
Yeah.
seen that. Yeah,
When you
yeah.
have forward head posture, then you just have a collection of lymph fluid, where you have stagnant fluid back there. And the thing is, if you have lymph stagnation anywhere in your body, it slows down the whole body.
Right.
So,
So like you'd mentioned to one lady on one of our lives that her
mhm,
first step would be cleaning her lymph nodes, like doing the steps. Like as if
mhm.
your lymph nodes are all jacked up, then you know.
Well, that's your sewer. So if if your sewer's plugged outside your house and you flush your toilet, it's not going anywhere. It's staying in your house or right outside your house. So you need to get all of the lymph channels opened up, for a good
Limpy.
flush. Yeah.
Limpy.
And all of your cellular waste, I mean, not all, but the majority of your cellular waste goes into the lymphatic system.
Well, I mean, do you have any comments on weight with the women? Those vibrating plates, they're pretty fun. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've tried those. I don't think they make an enormous difference, but in some cases they can, like especially if really swollen legs or something from an accident or just really backed up lymph in your legs. But it's working the main points, the collar, above and below the collarbone, behind the jaw and ear. Yeah, the armpits, the
head,
the inside of the elbows, yeah, the inside of the groins,
inside
beh-
of the groin, belly.
behind the knees, yeah, the whole belly, and then you have a huge lymph node that's above your navel, below your ribs. So that one's really deep in the body, so it's kind of hard to get to, but that's a big one as well. And so the lymphatic system, 80% of it goes through your left collarbone. The right collarbone mainly deals with your right arm and your liver. So they're both important. And then just below the collarbone is where it goes back into your venous system, into your blood. And then it would be go through kidneys or go through skin, go through respiration, because 80% of your waste, believe it or not, comes out of your exhales, not your dookie or your pee pee.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy. Is that true?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
that's true.
Like basically breathe out.
Yes. Yeah. So the more you breathe out and the more you breathe in, this is why hyperbaric chambers work. This is why, getting additional oxygen if you're in the hospital when you're sick works, because you're getting more oxygen in, but then you also have to clear it, which is breathing out. The other thing too is your lymphatic system moves fluid by the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the pump for the whole body. So this is why people that have TMJ, like a tightness in their jaw or head, that can screw up the lymphatic flow for the whole body, because when the diaphragm goes down and up, you're pulling lymphatic fluid out of the head and you're pushing lymphatic fluid into the head. So,
TMJ. That's like my childhood.
right. And if your collarbones are clogged or if your lymph nodes behind your ears are clogged, then you're not going to drain waste from your brain efficiently either. So there's your brain fog. There's
Your
a lot of
favorite
mental.
subject, TMJ.
What?
Joe just said my new favorite subject. What, TMJ or lymph nodes?
Oh, yeah, lymphatic drainage, maybe, because Joe.
Lymphatic drain. Well, and
Hopefully,
also
you're
circling
doing
back
great now, Joe.
to the meds, because David mentioned like if people who are on these meds and being given these protocols from the indoctrinations,
Right.
they're not being taught lymph nodes cleaning,
No.
nothing.
Well, yeah, it's something close to 70-80% of the fluid in your body is lymph fluid. So it's kind of a big deal.
Clean your lymph nodes.
And, the doctors are all like, let's test your blood. Let's test your blood. And look, testing blood is great, but your blood chemistry can change in a few hours. That's why a lot of times you have to do blood tests when you're fasted, blood tests when you're not fasted, depending on what they're testing, because your blood chemistry changes fast. Your lymph chemistry takes time because, again, it's your diaphragm moving up and down is the pump. There's no heart. There's no capillaries that squeeze, rhythmically, like arteries and capillaries squeeze rhythmically in the body. The lymphatic fluid moves with the diaphragm motion. So if you're a type of person that has real short, choppy breaths and never fully inhales, never fully exhales, you're not moving any of your lymph fluid.
Right.
This is why people say, take a deep breath.
Move it. Do that. I like the vibrating plate or the dancing around, moving your body. I actually, with lymphatic node drainage, that you love it so much, Joe. A great thing for couples to do that I do in the super like sexy massage is to do it naked on each other and then do the lymph node drainage, those 6 points that from Perry Nicholson, Stop Chasing
Yeah.
Pain. So
Yeah.
do those 6 points, but do it erotically.
Mhm.
Very good. Like I should write book.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I suppose you could do some of that when you're jumping on the good foot, doing the bad thing.
That's exactly when to do it.
Yeah.
But seriously, there's a way to do that, with elbows and chins, and you do it during sexy massage. It makes it really cool. It's like it's sexy time, but it's healthy time.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you can do it where it feels good too.
It could be like, hey, drain my lymph node, baby.
If you know what I'm saying.
I'd like you to drain my lymph node, guy.
If you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
So you also wanted to take us through, because maybe you can explain okay, so if we start baby steps to trigger people and freak them out,
All right.
if we go back to the grocery store, right?
Uh-huh.
my like little, my science fair project that opened my mind. And if you just look at, putting bad stuff in the food and then makes you sick, and then so you're in the funnel, right? But if you look at who owns that, and then who owns this, and then who owns this, and then you will lead back to some very bad people.
Well, you learn that everybody owns everybody.
Yep.
BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, they all own each other. And Vanguard has totally opaque hidden owners because it's private. So they don't list any of their owners, but they own the majority of it. Yeah. In the stock market, everybody owns everybody. So it's also very much a Ponzi scheme as well. Not to
Yeah.
say that there's certain things that go up and that it's not a valid place to make money, but it's all kind of BS.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I was using an example today, like if you're not fighting for your own health and like eating, really locally, and your meat, milk, and men is all local, or at least within an hour.
it's good to buy your food from people that serve the food that they serve you to their children.
Hello. So
Because nobody's trying to cause problems for their children.
if you're gonna look at the super packaged and then it's owned by, the whole list of, let's just call them bad guys. If you really looked at underneath what the agendas are, really truly, you're not going to put that in your mouth. There's a little bit of the rebellion is, I'm not actually going to buy that because I don't want to support that whole train of horrible people. But if you just say to somebody, oh, don't eat the Twinkies, or don't eat, the whatever brand, Kraft or whatever.
Little Debbie premium
Exactly. Like,
snack
don't eat, that's
cakes.
bad for you. And we're all, everybody's dealing with their own depression and anxiety, and they'll just put stuff in their mouth and not think about it so many times. But when you actually track it and you see, like, actually, this is not only bad for you health, but it's actually literally making you sick to keep you in a system, and it's all a part of a whole, what I'm saying. So
yeah, there are
how do you think RFK getting confirmed is going to affect products in the marketplace? That's going to be amazing.
yeah, so RFK really has backed off on a lot of the things that I believe that he believes in because he was rocking the boat too much. He knows that vaccines are designed to put you into the system and make you sick. It's absolutely absurd that a perfect being who's less than a year old needs 72 vaccines in order to be healthy. So, but he backed way off because I think he was just trying to get confirmed. But he did get confirmed. So I think he made a pledge where he's not going to try to cancel any of the vaccines. He's going to try to educate people.
Right. But so the
But the
people
problem is that so many doctors get paid by the percentage of vaccinated children. And the reason why they pay them to do that is because they know the more vaccines that a kid gets, the sicker that they will be. So it's like putting your money in a bank, or putting your money into a stock is going to go up. This kid has had 72 vaccines. We'll see you later. You're going to be back in the system.
Okay. So what about the person who's going to freak out on you right now and say, like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. I had polio.
Well, yeah, and Trump pounces on polio as saying that vaccines are good because polio, right? But if you look at polio today, they've broken it into different names. So Guillain-Barré syndrome, the symptoms of that used to be under the umbrella of polio. So if half your face didn't work because your nerves were shut off, they would have called that polio. Now they'll call it Guillain-Barré syndrome. So when you change the names of things to change who has what disease,
Are you talking about Convid?
I'm not talking about Convid,
I know, but
but
it's like
the Convid shots,
every single thing
the
became Convid.
the Convid shots have been known to cause Guillain-Barré syndrome, which used to be known as polio. All that polio is, or Guillain-Barré syndrome is damaged nervous system. So there's a number of high inflammation will damage your nervous system, and if it can't get out through the lymphatic pathways and it gets into your nerves, it can shut down a nerve that goes through your whole body. Like people, this is why people lost use of their limbs with polio. Now they don't put limb loss of use of limbs under Guillain-Barré, but like I said, if you had any nerve paralysis, that used to be known as polio. So then you look at what causes nerves to become paralyzed. Toxins. Polio was caused by the pesticides that they were using back then, DDT.
Does not surprise me.
So when you track the removal of DDT from usage on crops, polio just goes away. They released their vaccine at the same, just after they stopped using DDT. So they claim it was the vaccine. Now, they, as in today, that have been indoctrinated through the system, they're not aware of the DDT connection. So they are like, that proves that vaccines are good because you release the vaccine. Well, yeah, polio was going down a little bit, but it really went down after the vaccine was released.
And they'd stopped using DDT.
But it was the DDT. It was the DDT that caused polio.
Oh, David said his cousin got Guillain-Barré, and it's nasty. She can't use one of her legs now. She's nearly died from it because it was
Yes.
diagnosed in rural Kansas. Oh, geez.
Now, and I would ask you, you said that was David? I'm looking.
Yeah.
So I would ask you to look up the definition of polio, look up the definition of Guillain-Barré from their system, and you'll see the crosstalk everywhere. It's the same thing. So the loss of use of legs, that was a hallmark of polio. So, and the other thing is
In the middle of heavy wheat country. So is that where they're using pesticides?
exactly.
Oh, God.
And so now the chemicals that they use, they are derivatives of DDT, but they're different compounds that are less poisonous, but they are still poisonous in the exact same way. It just requires higher doses to have that effect.
Yeah.
So, for example, glyphosate, which is a cousin or developed from DDT by the same company as well.
No.
Yeah. I mean, now they're owned by Bayer,
Oh,
but
my
but it
God.
was Monsanto.
Oh, yeah. The evil devils. God,
Yeah.
the devils are in Monsanto.
Well,
Good.
you can say that they were devils, but the other thing you have to look at and understand is that it was a family-owned business. They were doing the best that they could. It clearly helped with the pests on the crops. When you do 1 year, 2 year testing, maybe everybody was fine, but use more of it 3, 4, 5 years later, everybody's sick. This happens all the time. This is why so many drugs get removed after they're approved. This is why it's absolutely ludicrous that you could develop a vaccine in 6 months because you can't test it over 6 months. And this is why people were getting Guillain-Barré from the Convid shots. That's why people are getting all kinds of problems from it because they're untested.
Crazy. And oh, man. Well, it goes back to they're doing things intentionally to keep people sick. And to have that conversation with somebody who is completely indoctrinated. I mean, I know somebody in my family would just literally start yelling right now
Right. You
about
don't know what you're talking about. Polio.
ah!
Polio was removed by the vaccine. Everybody knows that. And just
Yeah, exactly.
but if you look at when they removed DDT,
There's no.
polio disappears rapidly after the removal of DDT. That's what it was.
It's kind of interesting, but yeah, how do you deal with somebody who literally just cannot have a conversation? They only yell. I mean, it's just talk about your going back to the ego. You're just like, geez, man.
The only thing that
Ah!
I've done with people is I'll just be like, "Why are you yelling?" Because they want you to then come back and then match their energy, because a lot of people actually really enjoy arguing.
Ugh.
They have that energy in them and they want to push it out, and the best, so if they can engage in an argument, they'll do it. So I usually say to people, I'm not sure why you're getting high pitched with me, or why you're yelling, or why are you raising your voice. Is We're talking about something that happened 80 years ago. Is there any reason to raise your voice right now? And I mean,
Like, it's great. Oh God, and me drinking raw milk. Oh, forget it. You're dangerous. You're endangering your health. And I'm just like, oh, that's so terrible.
and to those people, I would just be like, we do have taste buds. You
I
know,
know. These are
those are there for a
okay.
reason.
Like literally. This tastes like melted vanilla ice cream
It does. Yeah.
compared to nasty
Now,
in the store.
have
Look,
you tried milk after doing raw milk? Have you tried regular milk? Have you tried to go back?
it's
It's
literally
disgusting.
disgusting.
It's
It's like, why would you been like, what would you, why?
ice cream.
Cereal? Ugh.
Ice cream tastes funky to me too.
Weird, yeah. I'm starting, yeah. I've done some taste tests since you said that, and I was like, and now I want the cream
Yeah.
so that I can make ice cream, like raw
Yeah.
milk ice cream. Yeah,
Yeah.
because once you, yeah, it is taste buds. I mean, it
Yeah, that's
is.
why we have taste buds, and if it tastes good, that's a signal that it's good. If you're talking about a natural product, I mean, you can make an unnatural product hit all of the taste bud centers and all the brain centers like MSG. You know, it doesn't really taste like anything, but it lights up everything in your brain as if you've just had the best tasting thing you've ever had. I'm talking about I'm talking about natural things.
Right,
That's why
right.
we have taste buds, because you taste the milk and you're like, "Oh, this is delicious." That means it's good. Same thing with meat. You smell when you smell meat being cooked that's good meat,
Oh, it's great.
it sends off all kinds of triggers and systems in the body. You'll salivate. I mean, look at a dog that smells raw meat. They'll just be dripping saliva out of their mouth.
Funny that you mentioned it because I wasn't planning on it today, but I bought lamb because it was there, and every once in a while it'll come in from Australia, and it's like right there, fresh, and it just looks and smells so good as opposed to when it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my god, meat. And you know what? Ever since I started eating meat, milk, and mint, living off of meat, milk, and mint,
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't I don't need as much food.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're low on minerals, when you're low on some kind of nutrient, the brain sends signals to eat more. So if you have all of the minerals, if you have all the fat, if you have all the protein, um, you're not going to have constant signals to eat more. If you're doing the carnivore diet and you're eating meat and organ meats at the same time, you're just kind of full and satiated, and you
Yeah,
don't.
it's meat, milk, eggs, fruit. I'm pretty much
Yeah,
doing exactly what you
milk.
do, and butter. Amish
A
roll
lot
butter.
of butter.
A lot of butter. I'm gonna start making my own butter, and I can make my own cheese now. I mean, I could be. I'm a good asset in the bunker.
You're trying to be a homesteader now. You're
I
like,
love it
I
so
can do
much.
it.
I
I can do
love
it.
it. Love it.
Put
Also,
me in,
there's
coach.
a thing which I'm sure because you just love those liberal ladies. I know you do. And this whole princess thing of like, I deserve it. You deserve, girl, you deserve. Like, there's just
Yeah.
something that just does not resonate with me at all. This whole like, you deserve it. I'm like,
Mm.
you deserve what? Like, what are you doing? What are you bringing in the
Yeah.
bunker?
Well,
Your
yeah.
complaints?
And the thing about that
You
is they're
do.
like, well, I'm providing, and it's like, well, that just seems kind of transactional. That seems kind of be on something that's actually illegal.
For now,
That it's just,
legalize
yeah,
it. Save the kids, y'all. You think
yeah,
it should be legal? I think it should be legal to save the kids.
yeah. I mean,
That's a totally different subject.
yeah,
Shoo.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's a big rabbit hole. You could make a case both ways,
Yes.
a valid case both ways.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people,
Let the
you know,
states do it. Can you
you
just
know,
tell?
I think how Nevada does it makes sense, where it's like
A ranch.
only specific counties it's legal. So it's not legal in what's the name of Las
Vegas.
Vegas's county?
But,
I forget the name of the county now. It's on the tip of my tongue.
but
But you
way
have to
out in
go.
the desert, you're fine.
Yeah, you have to go to the next county, and then it's all legal. Yeah,
There's
because
also
nobody wants whorehouses next to their residential neighborhood where
next
there's
to
kids.
schools.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Nobody wants a whorehouse.
Right. Well, that's what they're doing in outside of
Weird.
Las Vegas and the other county.
Can you imagine? That just seems so like, who wants that? Anyway, it seems like you'd want it more to go to your house.
Well, that would be illegal.
Traveling.
That would be illegal. In Nevada, that would be illegal.
David says there's also a big difference between homemade and lab made because MSG from a lab screws you up. But anytime you cook fat with salt, some MSG is created from fat glucamate mixing with salt.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Real homemade
Yeah.
flavor.
This must be why it tastes delicious when you salt meat and put it on a grill.
So good. Beef
Mm.
tallow. I've been working with bear fat, duck fat, tallow, butter.
I've never had bear, but Rogan talks about bear being delicious.
I have not eaten bear. I've just had the bear fat because my
I mean,
family, you
if
know.
you're eating bear,
I mean, I am eating bear. Yeah.
if you're eating bear fat, you're eating.
And also bear rub for your ailments. Like you can put the bear salve on like anything and like a scar or something. It's kind of like
Yeah.
vitamin E.
Yeah.
It's
Who told you to
amazing.
put the balm on it? Why'd you put the balm on it?
I just feel like every single thing out of my mouth nowadays is like the people like the vegan lady would just be like, ah!
So you want to? I converted a vegan last Friday night.
Nuh-uh.
I sure did.
What did
I
you
was
put in your mouth?
I was at heyo, yes. No, so I was at a restaurant and um, there was a vegan there. It was a couple, and the guy ate meat, but he was talking about how his girlfriend has opened his eyes and how he's trying to eat less meat. He's kind of doing a little vegan thing, and I was like, I did that for a while years ago, and I ordered a 43-ounce tomahawk. So I had so on the table, I just have this like
It's
tom
ginormous.
tomahawk. Yeah, it's like a tomahawk
Weird,
bone that's the
weird.
size of your sword, and like I'm trying to remember how this went exactly, but
He's like, that
so
looks delicious.
I think the vegan said that actually smells really good, and this is her talking. Lately, I've noticed that I want to eat meat. And she's like, I'm not a vegan. I'm not a crazy vegan. It's just when I put it in my mouth, so to speak, I don't like the taste of it. And so,
Different meat.
Right. So I was like,
Did
well,
you give her a piece of your meat, Sean?
I sure did. So no, so I cut off. I picked a piece of the tomahawk that just looked like it was perfection. Half of it was fat, half of it was meat,
Oh
and then
God.
I put it on a plate and I gave it to her and I was like, okay, so look over here. You can see how this is fat. You can see how this is meat. You can cut off the fat if you want, but I would recommend that little fat, little meat. That makes the best bite. So
And that
so
little plate there is $60, lady. Thank you.
yeah, probably. Yeah, something like that. Not probably like it's probably like a $30 piece of meat. Come to think of it,
Exactly.
there's like this big. Um, any rate,
Just did
so
they eat?
she ate it, and she said that was the first bit of meat that she hasn't wanted to like hurl out. And she said not only that, it was delicious. So, um,
And like
I was
minerals went to her brain.
right, like it
You
set up
saved
all
their
kinds.
marriage.
It was perfectly salted. It was one of the best. I've had a lot of tomahawks from that restaurant. It was one of the best I'd ever had at that restaurant
Where?
too. It was Urban Grub. I think we've
Oh,
been. Yeah,
nice.
we've been there.
I
Yeah.
love that place.
So that was the first meat that she had gotten down in some time, so to speak.
God
But,
bless her. I'm glad she took
yeah.
it.
So yeah, I actually I forgot. I need to follow up with her and just curious if she's still eating meat.
And the
But I would
guy,
imagine so because that's a hell of a gateway drug right there. A big
a rib,
tomahawk.
tomahawk, ribeye.
Yeah,
Oh my
tomahawk ribeye. Because when it's cooked on the bone, it just
Forget it.
yeah.
Forget it. On a
Hmm.
campfire is the best. That's like
I mean, they cook it on a flame,
level.
so it's all burnt up like a. It comes out like a campfire at Urban Grub because
Uh
it's all charred up.
so
Um, yeah,
so
I'd
good
like
for
one
you
right
for converting. Where folks are eating while most folks are eating shitty Tyson chicken and super CAFO pork.
now. I know it's
It
that's.
People
I,
eat
I,
terrible food, but how about they're trying to put these? Have you seen? They're aiming for the like underneath, and you got to like search for this stuff, but they're looking to do pig hotels essentially. Like put it into cities so that there's just pigs stacked on top of each other, like and it's owned by China, and it'll just be like a pig factory in like St. Louis. Or it's like
yeah,
what?
yeah, and a lot of China has bought up a lot of pig farms in America. Yeah, yeah. I so it's funny when I talk to people about this. It's like, and they talk about how they don't like meat, red meat, because it's sometimes tastes weird or whatever. And then I'm like, well, chicken will eat anything. Like a chicken will eat anything. A pig will eat anything.
It's
When you're
true.
eating a cow really just wants to eat grass.
It's true.
You put out grass and oats or grains, that cow will go for the grass before the oats or the grains. So, um,
I
I
like
don't
me
know.
some cow. I also like ruminant meat, like all the hunter meat, the deer, elk. Elk is good.
Hmm. Well, and a lot of those meats, it depends what they're, if it's game meat, it depends what they've been eating and it depends how old they are.
That's
So the
true.
older the animal is, the tougher the meat will be.
I like befriending hunters. See,
Yeah. But if you kill like a 12-year-old elk that's on death's door anyway, that meat's going to be really tough.
right?
Yeah. This is why, like most cows that are for meat production, they're like 2 years old. They're fully grown, but they're, you know,
And then the emotional side, the vegan who is emotionally vegan, because they don't want to hurt animals. There's
we
that.
got into that at dinner too. And I said a lot of vegans don't realize how many rabbits, deer, and other small critters they have to kill from them to not eat the crops that the vegans
But
are eating. And the dumbest thing is when you do the calculations, cows are the most efficient delivery device of calories there is. Maybe you can make an argument that like bison is better or some bigger ruminant,
mhm.
but cows are great because they have really high fat content as opposed to other ruminants. and 30% of your calories should come from fat.
That.
So it's hard to get 30% of your calories from fat if you're eating 99.9% lean meat, from some kind of deer.
It is honestly really like do the opposite of what the doctors always told you.
Yeah.
Eat grapefruit, get into the sun, eat meat, and put salt. Use salt.
I mean, how many animals do we put out salt licks for?
Right? Me.
Yeah, and then
Salt.
we don't look, and then I don't know how many people I bump into. They're like, "Yeah, I'm trying to cut my salt." And it's like, why?
It's
What's
all well, it's like this, they're just regurgitating what's been told to them by an indoctrination, and then if you track that indoctrination, that leads to some bad people.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
really does. And then
Yeah.
you're like, well, you fuckers, man. I tell you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on not cursing. That was my one curse I've done in an hour. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Nice.
Nice.
Uh,
And go ahead.
so I was just gonna say, yeah. So I converted a vegan
I
this past
am
this past
super
week,
impressed by
doing
that.
God's work out here.
I love it. I love it. I've been working on like depression with people, suicide thoughts, and
Yeah.
people that are really stuck. A lot of people who are stuck. And you know what? When you see the people that are stuck, or when I deep dive talking to them, they're on meds, they're on bad food, they're on the
Yeah.
antidepressants. They're on, and it's funny, like you're depressed and have this issues, but you're on the antidepressants. How's that working?
Right.
It's like a weird numbness. It's like you're just not quite. Yeah, I'm like, wow. And my mom is off of those now, thank God. But she admitted to me today, which I think she represents a lot of a majority, right, of people.
Mhm.
And she admitted to me that she's like, well, the truth is, I guess, tend to be scared, and I'm gullible.
Mhm.
I'm like, she goes, if I admit it, I'm going to admit it. And she's like, I'm gullible, and I do tend to be scared. And I'm like, that is literally the perfect customer.
Yeah. Well, and that's how they. If you're trying to control billions of people,
Scared and gullible.
if you're trying to control billions of people, you want to put them in fear, because when they're in fear, they switch to a sympathetic dominant state. And when you're in a sympathetic dominant state, you can't do your own reasoning. If
Right.
if
You
you
need
if
to be
you if
told.
you keep getting something pounded into your head with a constant blast of propaganda, or a constant, I mean, I guess you could say, even if it's not propaganda, but it has to be constantly repeated when you're in a state of fight or flight. When you're not, then you can use things like logic, and you can put pieces together, and then you can form your own thoughts and ideas.
What are you talking about?
But the preferred way to control billions of people, if you're trying to control it from a mothership, or from a, one point, would be keep people as afraid as you can, and then just keep piping in the same message over and over again.
Are you talking
It's
about
like,
communism?
I mean,
I mean,
it's such a loaded term, because
that's what you're talking about.
only right, well, only everything in the Communist Manifesto, if you read the Communist Manifesto, it's like, that's happened, that's happened, that's happened, that's happened.
Honestly,
We're at the end stage
yeah,
of communism.
2010, I started looking at that. It's Wikipedia.
Right.
There's like 46 things, and I was like,
Yeah.
we were in the 20s, and I was like, wow, y'all, who's infiltrated here? Like,
Right.
because we were going check, 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 and then it came like 2015, and I'm like, oh, cow.
More and more and more checked.
Well, you just see it, and then now it's like they've
Yeah.
done it all. They've literally
Yeah,
done it.
right. And then there was that KGB spy that did a bunch of interviews in the 80s and 90s.
Love that
And
guy.
he
Well,
was saying that it's already done, that it's
yeah,
like
they did it.
almost done. Yeah. And it's so funny. People will say, a few years back under the Biden administration, people are like, we gotta save this country. And it's like, no, no, no. It's already been gone for a long time. The idea of America has already been gone. but we still have all the documents that allow the pathway to have a violence-free bring back of actual American values that are in the
Hey,
Constitution, like states going back to constitutional laws.
Amen.
Hmm.
I'm like, it's got to be Hulk smash.
Hulk smash.
Yeah, Hulk smash, Hulk smash. Like all the little tentacles of the. Well, so it's like there's the communist agenda, and then there are also the agenda of.
The bankers. You know, there's a famous quote. It was by a Rockefeller or a Rothschild, because
Either
Rockefellers
one.
and Rothschilds are on the same team. Their names are similar, so it's really easy to cross wire in your brain when you're trying to
Are
keep
they in
those
the death
separate.
cult?
For sure, for sure. Global Homo
Tiny
Death
Hat
Cult.
Club? No.
Say what?
Are they a tiny hat club?
The Rothschilds are
Okay, not Rockefeller. Rockefeller's not
probably too. I'm the Rockefellers.
like or something.
The Rockefellers are kind of American
I
made,
saw
so to
that
speak.
on the X yesterday, and I just could not stop laughing. Oh,
They,
you mean the Tiny Hat Club? And I just thought that was so funny.
yeah,
Didn't come from me. It was a comedian on X the Tiny Hat.
right. Well, and of course, jokes are only funny if they have some truth to them. So, uh, yeah, because the Rockefellers, they gained their wealth in America. So their ethnicity before they came to America, I'm not, I haven't, I probably have read about it, but it's not coming to me right now. But the Rothschilds, yeah, they are part of the Tiny Hat Club. And the Windsors, which is
But
Prince Charles, Queen Elizabeth, the Windsors are Rothschilds. So the UK, Great Britain, had been taken over in the 1800s
isn't
by,
that crazy? And
by
then
the Tiny Hat Club.
it's just like California. It's the Pelosi's and the other one,
Yeah,
and it's like
California is run by four families. That's the
crazy when you
that's the
start.
Pelosi's, the Gettys, the Browns, and the Newsoms, and they've all married each other. And if you look at who's run that state, it's either been one of those four, other than Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ronald Reagan.
It's kind of
They've
crazy.
owned it. They've owned it the rest of the time for a very long time. Yeah.
It's yeah, they're all like related.
They've all intermarried, yes. So now they're all related. The Pelosi's, Newsoms, Browns, and
One of
Gettys.
those like what? And then you start undercovering that. Do you know all about Allie Carter? Have you been watching any kind of Allie Carter thing? You know who I'm talking
I've
about?
heard the name. Wasn't she an actress?
Well, she's in some music videos, but she
No.
was one of the kids that was trafficked with Diddy and Jay-Z and all the celebrities, and she's very vocal and in on the run with her mom, vocally outing it all and
Yeah.
telling exactly how it is. And she talks about tunnels underneath the Getty. She talks about watch for the fire. She literally told all the fires. She's like, watch, there'll be fires because they're going to hide evidence. And
Yeah.
she's like, she like broke it down. Like, and you're like,
One
holy cow.
one of the things that in this global homo death cult that they do to their children
Oh
is
my God.
they make their single digit age children mimic sex acts in front of adults at dinner parties. So from a very young age, they are normalizing, you know, lewd sexual behavior. So it enables, the pederasses and the pedophiles to, um,
A
within
pederast? What's the difference between a pederast and a pedophile?
pederasts only likes boys.
Oh
Hopefully
my,
that's legal on YouTube.
I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna get shut down. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
But anyway, yeah. So
don't say Obama.
that's what about Michelle Big Mike?
I can't even. I can't wait. I mean, okay, listen.
Well,
Walk me through
the
this.
Macron stuff is out.
Ugh, walk me through it. Listen.
What?
Pretend I am a super like hardcore. I bought it. I loved all of them. I loved the Obamas. I'm
Oh,
just saying.
you want me
And
to build you a case?
telling me that it's all fake and a lie. Has it really been come out yet? Has it really been revealed, or is it all just poppycock?
It
And then
has. Well, some of the stuff has been revealed, and then it's just kind of like ignored because the media has ignored it. But Barack Obama's real name or original name was Barry Sortoro, and Trump was tweeting about that in 2012.
oh
That
yeah,
is real. His actual birth certificate on the government on the presidential website, the actual official birth certificate has clearly been tampered with. And there's videos of people that are going download it and they're Photoshop professionals and they're like, "Oh, this is weird. This is a whole
Brendan
section.
Teacher, right?
I can just drag this whole piece of it off and then you can see the original document that had things blocked off and erased and then it was a poor Photoshop job too. They didn't even do a good job of it. But so the interesting thing about the Sortoros is I forget the stepfather's name. Barry Sortoros or Barack Obama's stepfather
Yeah,
was
rich, crazy rich.
he ran Indonesia for the CIA, and his best friend was George Herbert Walker Bush.
So they just groomed Obama to be in a seat.
Correct.
I mean,
And he was groomed by the quote unquote red team. That's the other thing that because as soon as people hear that it was Herbert Walker Bush, they're just mind blown. They'll start shrieking. They don't believe it because they believe in blue team and red team, which is bullshit. There is no red team and blue team. I will admit that maybe moving forward there might be because MAGA has taken over the red team, and they're adding more and more MAGA as opposed to rhinos and standard Republicans. But Barry Sortoro was the stepson of George Herbert Walker Bush's best friend. Herbert Walker Bush was in the CIA. He became the head of the CIA before he was president. And Barry Sortoro's stepfather was his best friend and ran Indonesia for the CIA.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah. And then his mother was a recipient of USA International Development money
Mm.
in the late 70s and early 80s.
So to the person who's going to literally be screaming about this,
So,
like, what does it matter? What does? Okay.
oh, yeah, okay. So you're accepting, but you heard that last piece that his mother was given money
Yeah.
by the CIA. So, okay, so yeah, what does it matter? What does it matter?
What does
Okay,
it matter?
what
We
is it?
love trans.
Right, exactly. What does it matter? Okay, it doesn't matter if they're being honest, right? So if Barack Obama is running for president and somebody goes, "Hey, did you change your name?" And he goes, "Yes, I did. I like Barack over. Everybody called me Barack. My original name is Barry Sortoro." Then it's fine. And then I really like men, and that's why I married my Michael. I mean Michelle. Michael became Michelle. I mean, there's multiple instances of him referring to his significant other as Michael.
I know, and flubbing up. I know.
Right. And the other thing too is where are the yearbook pictures of Michelle Obama?
Oh, I
Where
know.
are the pregnant pictures of Michelle Obama? And then in one of her latest interviews, she came out and said she did IVF. So this is just weird. When you're pregnant, you have a photo of yourself pregnant. When you went to school every year, I got photos in a yearbook, K through 12.
They're in
That's
there.
what. That's what.
Yeah.
But not her.
Yes.
Not her. Not Brigitte Macron. Oh,
I was going to ask
when
about
we
that.
were talking on the phone, I wanted to get your reaction on video. I want you to Google Chuck Schumer's wife.
Oh shit. Okay. Chuck Schumer wife.
Yeah,
So the thing is, I can hear who cares about all this stuff. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? But the fact that it's a lie.
that is the point. If Barack Obama runs saying, yeah, my new name is Barack Obama, I used to be called Barry Sortoro. Here's the first man, Michelle. Fine, call her by her new name, Michelle Obama, formerly Michael Robinson. We want your vote. Then that's fine.
You mean this human? This human?
Yeah. Now, if you had to identify a gender of that human, what would you? How would you identify that?
That's weird.
Yeah,
An unfortunate woman or a dude.
that would be a very unfortunate woman, because that's no woman. That's a man, baby. I mean, just look at
Oh,
it. And
I
keep in
understand.
mind, those photos that are coming up are like his best. Like that's when they're at like galas together. That's not just walking down the street. That's the best he can do. So again, the point is that there's a global homo death cult that has been running the world for a long time. There was a, in the 1930s in Berlin, that was one of the headquarters of it.
How dare you?
Right, I know.
I did
But this,
have in mind who I love very much, and she's very, very much indoctrinated into the system. She's one of those that has like 14 million degrees. She went and got the love. She's like lives in school. She's like a professional student.
right.
And she even said, she's like, oh, brother, brother, brother. Oh, are you going to actually say that the world is run by the cabal and blah, blah, blah? And she's like, it doesn't really matter. Who cares? They're doing a good job.
That is the attitude of them. They look at us as animals and lower intelligence. And the thing is, their families, there used to be a cabal supposedly that that tried to do the best by humanity or of humanity. But at some point they got into this mode where they decided that the world is overpopulated. You can see Bill Gates talking about it. You can see Ted Turner talking about it. You can hear Jane Fonda talking about it. They've put this out there. The Georgia Guidestones said that the earth should have no more than 500 million people. So when the people that are supposed to be your advocates and the people that are in the upper echelons of power that are helping humanity decide that there's too much humanity, then they're not your friend anymore. So there was a time where if you were the king, you were the queen, you were supposed to take pride that you developed more humans, that you developed more farmland, that you conquered more land, right? You tried to do the best for your people. But now the people that are in this global homo death cult, that's why it's a death cult, think that we're overpopulated. So then the thing is, okay, let's say that you're enough of a cuck to be like, well, yeah, we are overpopulated. There's too many people. Okay,
Okay, so,
I recommend that y'all get out of New York City and Los Angeles. Because in between New York City and Los Angeles, there's a lot of land. Some would say too much land. There's plenty of land. We can handle more people. Now, can we handle
oh,
more
God.
in New York City or LA? Probably not. But in between those two places, we can handle a lot more people.
Meanwhile, all of our media, and I say this to people who, as I travel, because they don't understand that when you're watching your TV and you're home watching all your shows, all of that stuff is coming from LA or New York by people who've never been anywhere else but LA and New York.
Yeah,
They don't know nothing about you. Nothing.
right.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I sold to, I don't know if I ever told you this. I sold a really funny show called Chocolate Gravy to Showtime years ago in 2002, actually. And it went to it went like the pilot got bought, and then we didn't go to shoot the pilot because the notes that they wanted to fix on it were just so outlandish, and I just kept like
Yeah.
questioning it. But anyway, they wanted me. They're like, "Listen, this is so funny and it's great, but you make fun of everybody." Like, I know. I'm like, well, that's kind of the point. And it was, can you please have somebody accidentally shoot themselves to show that they're really stupid? Because we have to show that the Southerners are dumb Bible thumping people who have guns and shouldn't have them. That's literally what they said. And I was like, well, hold on. The whole point of this show is that that's not the case, that this is like, this is about the real South. It's sex, drugs, and Christian rock is what's going on. So and it was a really funny show. And they wanted, can we please get somebody to accidentally shoot themselves to show that they're stupid? And I was like, that the whole point of this is that's not. And you go to the VFW in the South and you're sitting next to an astrophysicist, inventor, like all these cool people. They just happen to have a Southern accent.
Right.
And they, and they're like, no, they're all dumb. And I was like, and I'm sitting there and I was like, I'm Southern, right? And they're like, yeah, but you got out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're only smart because you moved away. That's not how it works. Yeah, and then what are you, not you, but this person, are you surprised that the people that have land, sun, grass, good food, good water are smart? And maybe the people that have been shoveling cocaine and booze down their gullet, living like rats in a cage in a city, are maybe somehow not doing,
Rest.
yeah, not doing so good.
That's,
But
yeah.
but there's no shortage of arrogance and ego when you're drinking and doing coke all the time in New York City. There's no shortage of ego and
You have
arrogance.
a good point there. That's that interesting you say that, because actually that's, yeah, by the elites. That's so
It's
funny.
ego fuel.
And meanwhile, it's like I can think of somebody, I'm not going to name her because I love her to death, but she's adamantly anti anything that's not hard party line blue. And when you actually just start talking, like, just like, hey, how's your life? How's your life? How are you doing? Overweight, on meds, in anxiety, vegan.
Yeah. So you add all that up, you're at a low vibration, and
I
and
mean,
if
it's like,
have you ever heard of the levels of consciousness? Like
oh yeah, yeah.
Ken Wilber wrote a book about it. Um,
Like
tribal.
with like here, you're talking about
Well, I mean,
map
it
of the
depends how
body.
big the paper is, but yeah, you can make it that tall. But yeah, tribalism is a really low level of consciousness. It
Tribal,
really is.
like meaning like I'm in the blue tribe. Is that what you
I'm in
mean?
the red tribe, I'm in the
Right.
blue tribe. Um,
Yeah.
it's a really low level of consciousness. And if that is part of your identity and you don't step out of your identity or ego, I mean, that is just a not, I mean, tribal, the problem with that is this is how they use, what's the term I'm looking for? This is how they use how they justify doing shitty things to people, because they decide that they're on the goody team, the morally right team. And since they're on the goodies, they can by any means necessary take care of the baddies
Yeah.
because they're in a tribal consciousness. Now, if you were in a higher level of consciousness, like postmodern, modern, integral, you are able to see where they're coming from. So,
And then you're like, you want some minerals? Here, drink this.
well, no, it's like the Pierce Morgan and Tucker Carlson interview, where Tucker Carlson is essentially saying, no, it's not okay to kill women and children anytime. I don't want to be a taxpayer in a country that is going to go out and kill women and children in war. It's one thing to kill soldiers that are trying to kill you, but if you're going out and killing women and children, you're a monster. And then Pierce Morgan's thing was, well, we're morally justified to kill the women and children because we're on the goodies side and they're on the baddies side.
What
And
was he
then
talking about?
they were talking about the MAGA Strip, formerly known as Gaza Strip.
What's it called now? Trump?
The MAGA Strip.
Oh my! First of all, I gotta say something about Trump. Like there are too many people who are so like they get their butt all tightened up with him, and that guy is a comedian.
Yeah, no, he is a
Trump
comedian.
is a comedian.
Mhm.
The fact
Yeah,
that he was sitting there, I just died laughing. Everything he says, I just like died laughing. He is just so funny, and he kept it. He was sitting next for the Super Bowl. He was sitting next to on the Air Force One interview. I was watching it I don't miss a moment, honestly, because I just think it's so funny. And it just says golf. That's all you see is a big map, and then and then after a while, it pans.
and
It
it's
says
Gulf
golf.
of America, and it's a map, but it had an unusually large Gulf of America. It was like
Oh
you had the
God!
names of the state,
Just
and then it was just like
I
Gulf of
can't
America.
even. I can't even. And
It-
then my whole feed on Facebook is all my friends like, "Oh my God, it's real! I went to my Google Docs or my Google Maps and it's on there. Ah, it's on
but
there.
hold on,
Ah."
what a bunch of cucks! Where's their pride for the country that they live in? Why would they not want to have a body of water called the Gulf of America?
It's weird. I'm just
Why
like, first of
why
all,
would
it's
they not
funny.
want why would they not want to add Greenland, which is bigger than Alaska and has immense mineral and water
Right.
and only 50,000 people that don't even want to be part of Denmark. And Greenland is physically closer to here than Denmark. You want to be governed by people that are close to you. That's the whole purpose of states' rights. You don't want to be governed by somebody who's on the other side of an ocean. They want to be a part of America too.
Yeah, yeah. Gene says, and he's really sharp too, and he plays chess. The thing, he's very smart, and he doesn't drink alcohol. And they're all most of the people
That's
in
connected. I
drunk.
mean, alcohol shrinks your brain by 25%.
Is that my problem?
I don't know. You drinking every day? Could be.
I'm like, huh? Uh, but the thing is, with him, they're the people who bought into the media, and it's just that when I see people who are so anti him to where it's like a weird, like you've got a problem, I see firsthand you've been propagandized to.
Well, one thing that I did forever ago that I suggest everyone to do is to not listen to commentary. Like
Mhm.
there's no point in listening to people talking about what other people have said.
Right.
Trump's press conferences are usually 30 minutes or less, and they'll do the whole next day of
Just talking about what
commentary
he said. Yeah.
talking about what he said. Why don't they just play the 28-minute clip of him talking? No, no, no. They would rather do a full hour of
Waste of time.
commentary
Yeah.
on that 28 minutes and tell
Interesting.
you what to think. Why don't you watch the 28 minutes and think for yourself? But the
Imagine.
but the problem is if you are in a sympathetic dominant state, you've lost the ability to think for yourself. You're
Because
living in fear, you're living in depression, and you need to have something told to you 10 times for it to sink into you. And that's
you,
propaganda.
you
That's
know,
how they do it, that's how it works. So all these people that you're talking about, they're listening to commentary. They probably have their radio show or their Rachel Maddow or what or but I would
who
say the same thing. Like I don't listen to Hannity or Jesse Walters because I don't want to hear the commentary of
right.
what
Just
Trump
watch the
said.
real truth.
Even if
Yeah.
it's I want to hear I listened to the 28 minutes that he did today. I didn't watch any commentary about it.
It's my comedy show. Um, I you brought something up that I think is interesting because I was listening to my mom be like super honest with me when she got some minerals in her brain, and kind of on the same point you're saying, like they're waiting to be told what to do.
Yeah.
She's very similar. Like she wants to be literally told what to do, told what to eat, told.
Mhm.
And I was like, why do you have to be told everything? Like, is that coming from like you got beat as a kid or something? Like, what, you can't make a decision? Like, where's it going to come? Isn't it exciting to like figure it out for yourself? And
Well,
she
but
literally said, we're having like a moment of, here's honest moment when she said that she's gullible. She goes, well, I am just still a kid.
right, she doesn't trust herself. She's never developed the ability to trust herself. She probably looks when she diagnoses or looks back, she doesn't see success. She sees failures, so she doesn't believe in herself, so she can't believe in her ability to absorb the information. And then the thing is, when you're still a kid or you're still a teenager, which is again, if you're trying to control billions where you want to keep people, you're very concerned with fitting in with the group. So that's why you watch the commentary, and then the commentary tells you the groupthink. I mean,
Yeah.
this is groupthink, and they're like, okay, that's what I believe. That's what I'll say because I trust Rachel Maddow, and or whomever, or Jesse Walters,
Or
you know.
I mean, all the comedy like at night, you know what I mean? All those like late night talk shows too. They're all slanted towards. I don't even watch that shit.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
just like
not
real
funny.
comedy.
Yeah, it's
The
not
best
funny.
comedy show I've ever seen in many, many, many years was
Frankly, the ratings are terrible. No one watches CNN. No one watches channel.
the Trump Hillary debate
Oh yeah,
was comedy supreme.
yeah.
So
You'd be in jail.
he's so funny. Like like the fact that like the people that I know and they're really good friends of mine. I actually like my best friend in the world refuses to like she stopped talking to me because I revealed that I had a Trumpy bear.
Yeah. Well, and they
Because it's
probably won't
funny.
watch. They won't watch that debate. They'll watch the commentary on that debate, where they pick out like a 5-second segment that Trump
So
said, and then they
funny.
put it into the spin zone of making it seem as though he said something that he didn't say.
It's like, oh God, that fits your agenda and you can't actually hear anything and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I
So,
just,
but yeah, but that's an important thing. The average mental age um, of a huge percentage of the world is between 8 and 12 years old.
okay. I did this joke with my kid, not a joke. It was really true. As I was like, okay, as soon as Kamala was running, and I don't even want to say one word about her, but the whole dumb as hell, the whole like IQ is like
Yeah.
100 and something, whatever. There were all of a sudden all these ads like that on TikTok. Like there's these ads of these families and students like dancing. And then they're like, I took my IQ, I took my IQ. And it'll go 85 or like 95. Woohoo! We took our IQ, and I'm 95, and I'm 85. And I showed this to my kid. I was like, "What do you think about this?" And
So they think it's on a scale of 100, don't they?
so they
So they think that's
they're
high.
retarded. They're
Yeah.
retarded. I was
Well,
like,
yeah.
retarded is 70. So if
Yeah.
you're 85,
You can barely work a cash register.
you're not doing really well here.
Yeah.
Like, why
But
are you?
they must think that it's on a scale of 100. They must think that.
Oh my
Otherwise, why would
God.
you be dancing with an 85?
Exactly. Why are you dancing that you have an 85 AQ? You're so
Yeah.
stupid.
They think they got like a solid B plus.
Like what? So I
Yeah.
just think that is so, and it's so relevant to people nowadays. Well, actually, it's been for like 2-3 generations that they're just dumb as hell, and they're sucking on the teat, and they are like dancing around with their 85 IQ. Sean, they're just happy about it. God bless
We
them.
we had that Idiocracy movie
That horror
and how
movie.
yeah, and how everybody's on like basically Gatorade, sugar water, and because
Yeah.
if you have high blood sugar, it's just like acid in your body. It's just ruining brain cells. It's ruining everything having high sugar. So we have a high sugar problem in this country too. So yeah,
I have been really good with that, the sugar, because I've been using the beef protein as
yeah,
a replacement everywhere. Like, so I make these little muffins, and the only thing in there is beef protein, salt, butter, raw milk. And the chocolate I put in there. I mean, I'm like, wow. It's like, so when I get my craving, when I used to eat chocolate peanut butter ice cream, I was talking about that today. Like I'll have beef protein, but
Mhm.
with fruit or something. So I've made some little magical thing. And I didn't eat the chocolate peanut butter ice cream. Yay me. And I got all minerals and meat.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. You reading
I was
comments?
checking comments. Yeah. You're getting all minerals in meat. Yeah. Yeah. No sugar. Yeah.
It's big difference, like huge
Yeah.
difference.
If you
So
eat, if you eat meat, eggs, milk, all of these things are loaded with minerals, loaded with nutrients. You don't have to calorie count. Now, of course, if you want to have like a 12 pack or something like that, you have to calorie count. But if you want to be, just in reasonably good shape and feel good, if you eat eggs, ruminant meat,
fruit,
fruit,
berries.
you can't overeat it to the point of being obese. It has you can't do it. You can't. So it's you can kind of go unhinged and just eat whenever you want to eat.
Right.
And yes, I think especially when you're going through healing, when your body is healing or when you're trying to put on muscle mass, it's very possible that you might get a little bit more puffy, because your body's trying to hold more water, more hydration into the fascia. This is why the body raises blood pressure sometimes because it's trying to drive fluid into tissues that it's trying to repair. That's why you shouldn't take a blood pressure med to lower your blood pressure while your body
Yeah.
is trying to pump up blood pressure to fix something. So, but yeah, so it's you don't really have to calorie count. Now, if you're eating a bunch of grains, you know,
I don't eat
of course,
grains anymore, really.
right. And there's no reason to. I mean, there is a reason to. If you're on a budget, I understand why you would eat rice or, bread was originally peasant food.
Hey, I just did my very first sourdough starter today. I started.
You're doing all the
I'm
all the
doing all
home
the things.
homemaking stuff
I'm gonna
or
have
all the
aprons next.
yeah
I do
yeah.
have a bunch of sexy aprons, and I just thought about it. Anyway, just take some pictures.
I don't feel like we triggered enough people today. Maybe. Do you think
You
we
were
did
so wanting to go down the Little Hat Club, but you did get out your homo.
Globo Homo Death Cult?
Make the which I could see how some people are like, "What do you mean you're anti-homo?" You're like, "No, it's just the death cult. It's really
Well,
a pedo. It's a global pedo death cult.
yeah.
That doesn't roll off the tongue as bit as
Well, but then when you look at Schumer's wife and Obama's wife and Macron's wife, they're all men, ergo, and they're
pedo.
in the death cult, global homo death cult.
Okay,
Now, if you want to dissect it deeper, they are that way probably because they were raped as kids. You're probably right, but we don't know that for sure. But for sure, we know that their wives are men.
do we know that for sure yet? Is that for sure, or is that all?
Just look at the photo again and be honest with yourself. You don't have to. You don't have. Just
There are
look at
some.
the photo again, please. Just give it another look. Open up one of them, zoom in,
Yeah, I mean it's
and then once you look at that, look at Brigitte Macron, and then look at Michelle Obama, and then look at Barbara Bush.
Barbara Bush.
Look
You're
at
you're
Barbara Bush.
going
Look
you're
at Barbara.
going far in there. Ugh,
Look, look at Barbara Bush.
what the hell?
There's a theme. They're all in the same club. They were best friends. People were groomed. Macron was groomed. Obama was groomed. Probably Schumer was groomed. Pelosi certainly was because she's in one of the four families. Which one are you looking at? I mean, I don't take joy.
I mean,
Which one are you looking at?
Barbara Bush.
Thank you.
But I'm just like, wait a second, wait.
Well, that's
Wait.
because this cult has been around forever. They've been around forever, but they weren't always a death cult. Somewhere along the line, they added death cult to this, and they believe
Meaning
that
what?
we,
Excuse
meaning
me.
that the amount of population should be under 500 million.
Oh, I see. So they start killing people. I see. I see.
Right.
I see. I see. I see.
Yeah.
But then the Macron thing.
Look
my
at Brigitte Macron. Don't. Did you look her up?
Oh yeah, I've seen it because I saw Candace Owens like preliminary expose on it.
Yeah.
She hasn't even done it yet.
I think it came out today. I haven't seen it. The big interview was
it's
today.
Like when you follow her research, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I am just fingers crossed that she does Big Mike next.
And my question to you is, people are going to say, like, anyway, we support them. That's great.
And then my question to them, that's because, so they used to get angry. Now there's such a preponderance of evidence, and they're just saying, well, but we support all people. That's great. Look, if you want to wear women's clothing, if you want to chop your dick off and you're an adult and you want to do that, I have no problem with that. Have fun, right? Totally cool with that.
Not fun.
It's about the lies.
Yes,
it's about the lies.
And
it's about that they were groomed, that Obama was groomed from a child. You know, it probably George H.W. Bush was probably groomed since he was a child. How do you get to be the head of the CIA unless you came out of that cult? So this is generation after generation after generation being groomed to be world leaders. They're very much into their bloodlines.
They are.
So, fine. It's not about that Chuck Schumer's wife is a man. It's about the dishonesty on it.
Right. It's about the super. It's the deviant stuff. That's what I'm waiting for it to come out. Is all the human trafficking and the pizzas gate and all that stuff. I'm like, y'all.
Well, you saw the
that show up.
Did you see the Christy? What's her name? Christy. Got a real wide face. Christy. John Legend's wife. Christy.
Oh yeah. Teigen.
Whatever, Teigen. Their interview where the interviewer is like, "What is the most like risque, sexy thing you've done?" And then she looks over at John and goes, "Well, the Obama thing." And then John's like, he's just sitting there, just going, "We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to." He visibly shaken, didn't deny it, said, "We're not going to talk about that." And then you look back at all of her tweets.
Oh yeah, she's really into kids. It's
disgusting. Creepy.
It's creepy, actually. Yeah.
Right. And then supposedly
you're like.
Then supposedly it happened at Diddy's house, and Diddy's house is loaded with cameras. And Diddy's mentor Clive Owen, homosexual, tiny hat club, and homosexual. Clive Owen, tiny hat club, homosexual, grooms Diddy. Part of the tiny hat club homosexual operation goes back to Hoover and the foundation of the CIA. This is why Whitney Webb has a book called One Nation Under Blackmail.
Oh, I thought you were going to say One Nation Under Homo.
One Nation Under Blackmail. So think about how easily Barack could have been blackmailed.
Oh yeah, if you're doing deviant
before he was president. Yeah,
the dude came out. Yeah.
Now, Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, chief of the CIA. That's a hard-nosed killer. I bet he was harder to blackmail than Obama.
I told you the things I'd heard about the CIA and the FBI, right? Like from survivor stories.
Yeah,
like,
I've heard that too.
Too many stories. I wouldn't say that it's super common, the stories I've heard, but I've just me traveling, hearing people's stories. I've heard too many times that people in the CIA and the FBI eat Dookie.
I've heard
Like,
it too.
I'm like, what?
I don't. I mean, I don't. That it's so out there and
What?
not documented that I don't put any. I don't put much weight on that.
Just
But clearly they're into
I've heard.
clearly they're into blackmail. That is no doubt that those organizations are into blackmail.
Oh yeah.
So if you're trying to put in a puppet president, it makes perfect sense to put in a puppet president that has a hidden transgendered wife, man, boyfriend.
Well, this is also why they want to be with celebrities. They want you to have your fatal flaw so that they can control you.
Right. That's exactly right. And Diddy and Clive Owen, this is what they did. And then you look at the USA International Development Fund, they're funding artists all over the world, rappers, musicians, singers, because they know that culture comes first. When you're
Yeah.
talking about programming people that
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
programmable, culture is comes first. Culture is the most potent propaganda weapon you have.
Culture. I say so. Comedy. I'm gonna,
Comedy?
yeah, I'll just start doing comedy.
Comedy is a weapon. This is why
Yeah.
comedians weren't funny for a period of time, and why no movies were funny. Because
Yeah,
what's funny is when you dance around truths, and if you're not allowed to speak truths, then you're not allowed to have comedy.
exactly. I
Yeah.
said as soon as the election
Oh,
went through, I was like, oh, thank God, let's make comedy great again.
mhm. Yeah.
Let's make comedy
Yes.
great again.
It's been interesting. I've been sprinkling in on my rides, like some stuff about the times, just trying to see how people take it. And people that are clearly liberal, when I've said some things that I was expecting to get a reaction, it was almost like instead of having like a triggered reaction, it was almost kind of like it seems so. Like almost like a little sadness, but like it seems so. You know.
Oh, anybody who's looking at how they are unraveling the money spent that is bad, going to terrorist organizations, like y'all, or you think that this is good? Like I
I think
don't. Uh,
biggest one of the biggest problems is people don't understand how many zeros there are in a billion versus a million. Because when people hear 10 million and 10 billion, there's, oh, that's a lot of money.
right.
But 10 million versus 10 billion, that is a massive difference. And
Big
their
deal.
budget was $54 billion per year.
Holy jeez.
And on top of that, they were taking money from Social Security and FEMA. So that wasn't even enough money. They were taking money from other things in addition to the 54 billion, and then 200 billion to Ukraine.
That there's a story there, and I can't wait till it leads right back to those kids.
Oh yeah, Ukraine super corrupt.
Hmm.
Super corrupt.
And with Hollywood and Zelensky and the lady that they put as the top of the head of their oh god, they put the Marina Herd Ludovich's little
Abramovich?
yeah.
Yeah, Marino Abramovich. And you're not going to believe this.
You're like,
Zelensky is a homosexual. Unbelievable.
oh god.
Yeah. And then also he was played a president on a TV show
I
before
remember
he
that.
ran for president. I haven't looked this up, but I would damn near guarantee you the United States International Development funded that TV show.
To
I
put
would
it in
damn
front for him to be president.
exactly.
So like global yeah. What do you know about Omnicron, or like
The
the ant, what's it called? Aneurocron. It's the
adrenochrome.
adrenochrome. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
I have my suspicions.
yeah, I mean, they do a lot of simulation, pink pink champagnes, and supposedly you put a little bit of blood in the champagne, and whether it's a ritual or whether it actually does make people younger. I mean, if it made people younger, why did Hillary Clinton look so fucked up? You know what I mean? If she was supposedly drinking it all the time. Now, obviously, no doubt, if you have blood transfusions from young people and you're old, that will help you. No doubt. No doubt.
That's spooky.
So
Like,
I don't
why
know.
are all those kids? What have they done it? And why did Biden give $1 billion to Africa right before he left? I'm like, y'all,
Right.
go
Well,
go watch for those kids because
so
they're needing supply.
right, so if they're killing kids that have, all this human growth hormone and stem cells and all this stuff that makes kids like magic and rubber, and then putting it into their venous system, I mean, I think no doubt that would work. Whether drinking it works or not, I feel like that's probably going to end up being more ritualistic.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the things these people do is very ritualistic. Well, not
Right.
it is very ritualistic.
Well, it's like Skull and Bones
Yeah.
that Herbert Walker Bush came through. The one that's married to that dude, Barbara Bush, and the best friends of Sortoro that groomed Obama to be the president, that Herbert Walker Bush. The Skull and Bones, supposedly, they all have to do each other in the ass and film it, and they do group masturbations. Like when you look into the Skull and Bones system out of Yale, and then how many politicians come out of that Yale system, it's a lot. And if they all came through Skull and Bones and the reports on what Skull and Bones does, so then that bond that they have, because they all have blackmail on each other, it's not like it's when the request comes in to do something for another Skull and Bones member, it's not like, oh, I got to think about this. It's, yeah, all right, done. I did it. Are you happy now? I did it for you. It's done. Please don't ask me for any more. You know what I mean? They just have to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if they're all on video,
Like
at a
Diddy
Diddy
parties.
party, having all this go down, that's why Whitney Webb's book is aptly titled One Nation Under Blackmail.
Does she break it down and name names and everything? Have you
I haven't read either of the books, but I've watched a ton of her podcasts describing it. I want to read the books. There's so much going on right now that's like current events that I haven't been getting into any books lately. And but One Nation Under Blackmail, it's 2 volumes. She goes
Wow.
into it, and on the podcasts that I've watched her, she really gets through a lot of information quickly, and it's truly
See?
shocking. But it's not shocking at this point because I've been sniffing around this global homo death cult since 2012.
Oh my God.
And Bill Gates is a Rockefeller.
Really?
Mhm.
He's so creepy.
His father was in the CIA. His father had a hand in creating Starbucks. And then his father or mother is connected to Margaret Sanger, who started Planned Parenthood. Death cult.
Jesus. Well, okay. It's like, what can you do in your own little world? What can we do in our own little worlds instead of like complain? Because my hardline thing with people and why I spend more time by myself than other people is I put a hard line of like no complaining and no gossiping. I just won't
Right.
do it. I ain't got no
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And so I just don't do it. And so that said, I think with the one thing that I'm good at that I'm like, well, what can I do is like helping people, inspiring people to lift away shame.
That is part of the system that holds us down.
There's
There's
shame. And
22 human emotions,
yeah.
and if you are number 16, I want to say by, I guess you could try to debate them, but when you go through the 22 human emotions that are expressed in the English language, number 16 on the hierarchy from, I hate to use good to bad, but I guess pleasant to unpleasant is anger. So if you make anybody be in a lower vibration state than anger, they will exchange anger if given the opportunity, because anger will feel better than their programmed emotional state. So if they're in
Yeah.
guilt, shame, grief, then when the propaganda gives them a reason to be angry about something, they are ready to go because anger feels so good compared to guilt, shame, grief. There's a few others.
Which you're gonna do if you've been believing this textbook and been such a good
Right.
student, and then it falls apart. That's grief. That's sadness. That's depression. That's
Yeah.
like, wait,
Yeah.
I've been
Depression,
living
sadness.
a lie. It's
Yeah.
easy to be mad. Yeah, well, that's it. Then there you have your Karens.
And through the awakening process, you have to go through grief, probably multiple times. So anytime that you're going through grief, then you're susceptible to being presented with something to be angry about. So you're easily programmed into anger anytime you're in a lower emotion than anger. So this is the mechanisms of how they control billions, with more than likely certainly less than 10,000 people control billions.
Yeah, there's more of us than there are of them, for sure.
Right. And that's they have fear because of that.
Ah,
So which puts them into a sympathetic dominant state, which also makes them more dangerous. This is why the lies keep getting worse and worse and worse. Worse in the regard of more easy to debunk and harder to believe, because they're running around in fear right now.
right. Well, if you've been hiding like that, you're married to a dude for all this time,
Yeah.
that would be I'm
Make you
so
easily to be blackmailed. Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
interested to see what happens with France and that dude. How does it Macron? Because
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
some people think he's the Antichrist.
Macron?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like that people who like dissect that stuff, they're like, oh, well, it has to be young and have a thing and blah blah blah, and that you hear because there's a whole obviously a club of people who really think we are in Revelations right now.
yeah. Well,
And
they say history repeats itself,
yep,
and that book is originally an oral tradition. It was orally told, and then it was written down. So I see no reason why it couldn't have already happened in the past, and we're replaying the same thing because we replay the same things over and over
yeah,
again.
you mean Revelations
Um,
Bible?
well, I'm talking about the book as a whole.
Yeah, yeah.
The information, even though it's very old and originally started off as an oral tradition and then was written down, the reason why it's still valid today is because it's truth.
Yeah,
And
never
the truth is always relevant, and history constantly repeats itself over and over again.
I couldn't
So,
believe it reading in because I started reading it again. One reason was because of my grandmother, and one because it's so hated and so like, oh, we're gonna get this out of here. I'm like, huh, let me read this again. And I was
mhm,
reading Revelations and I couldn't believe it. And there it literally says, and
mhm.
I know of the Jews that are not really Jews, but are Jews
Mm.
that they're a synagogue of Satan.
Yeah, well, so I'll touch on that real quick on the tiny hat. So there's a group called the Khazars. The Khazars' homeland is modern day Ukraine. Now, from the Romans, I believe it was, they were under a lot of pressure. This is, how you've heard gypsies, and gypsies have a negative connotation, that they're untrustworthy. They'll say one thing to your face, do it, think of this, what a gypsy is if you just think of a gypsy.
Okay.
The gypsies and also the vampires come from that section of Europe.
Vampires.
Vampires, gypsies, they're
All
all
right.
from Eastern Europe to the left of Ukraine, modern day Ukraine, and into Ukraine. That's the historical area, right?
Okay.
And that also happens to be where the Khazars controlled land,
As in the Khazarians,
and the Khazarians, right?
but the
So
Khazarians the same, or is that two different?
yes, well, Khazars, yeah, Khazarians, same thing.
Okay.
The
Okay.
land of the Khazars. So they um, didn't have a religion, or their religion was Satanism, or you could say they had no religion. And then when they were conquered, I believe it was the Romans said, y'all have to pick a religion. And gave them like the list of it was like Judaism, Christianity. They left it up to the group. They just said, y'all have to practice a religion. And they chose Judaism. But they're not actually Jewish. So the ones that have kept their bloodlines going, that are that because there's certainly Khazarian bloodline that lost track of where their bloodline is, and they're just people today, right? They're just people that made it through the breeding lottery, right? But then
Okay.
there's also the groups that have kept their bloodlines together and know who their great 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 grandfather is, who predates when they converted into Judaism. And they're fake Jews. They're not actually Jews. But they know, they studied it, they know it, but they're not Jews. They use it's like the Book of Eli, right? The movie
Mhm.
with Denzel Washington, where Gary Oldman's character wants the Bible because he wants to use the words to control people. Because if you take nuggets out of that book and you preach it and twist it, you can use that book to control people, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you go through the there's a lot of reasons if you were nefarious that you would pick Judaism based on the way that it's laid out. I mean, they have a lot of very interesting things in their holy books.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, like you're allowed to have sex with
Little kids.
under two, as long as they're under two.
Yeah.
Oi, if they're over two, don't do it. But if they're under two, it's fine.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, and
what
if you're not Jewish,
That's not
then
in the
you're a
Bible either.
if you're not Jewish, then you are goyim, right?
And then you can just be
You know,
RAPD deed.
anytime, because you know what goyim directly translates to, right? Do you know what it directly translates
Right?
to?
No, I don't. What is it?
Cattle
So the white people,
or
cattle.
cattle. You're a goyim. You're cattle. Now look, and I'm not saying that this does not mean that all Jews are bad, because there's Jews that are Jewish. They don't really practice. They don't believe that we're cattle. But if you want to be militant on the word of those books, and you want to say, why do you care? They're goyim. Let them die. There's levels where people are taking this very literally.
Well, and then okay, so who are the synagogue of Satan then? Are you saying it's the
Well,
Khazarians?
I mean, look, I don't have it all sorted out. But I will say that um, it seems to point to the Khazarians. It also, in some of my reading, that Torah and the Talmud, very, if you think of it through a Book of Eli situation where you want to use those books as a weapon, big time weapons in those books. So again, not saying anything negative about Jewish people. I grew up in a Jewish area. No problems
Saying
with,
anything bad about
not
homos?
saying anything bad about,
Well,
no, I'm not saying anything bad about the death cult either in a regard, because they are a victim of circumstance, a lot of these people. They grew up. They were forced as single-digit-year-old children to simulate sex
Right.
acts with their cousins, brothers, sisters, visitors at dinner parties. So, okay, they're in a global homo death cult. Is it their fault? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know how how much blackmail they're under, or what pressure that they're under, how they got to where they're at, or who could kill them if they don't do what they're told, right? There's a few people puppeting and controlling billions of people. That's the point.
Gross.
And some of it rolls through a tiny hat club, for sure. And now look, and I know I watched the Spielberg movie too. I know, you know, that you're not even allowed to say that a tiny hat club person isn't anything but 100% perfect. Perfect. There's nothing do anything wrong.
What I've heard with survivor stories, there's a lot of child RAPE that happens.
For sure. Because according to the book, it's
Yeah,
cool if
that
they're
you
as
could.
long as they're under two, or as long as you're doing it to cattle. And who's goyim again? Everyone who's not Jewish. That means blacks, Indians, Asians, whites. They're all goyim.
I heard horrible stories listening to survivor stories. Also, they
But,
own all the
but,
porn
but think
too.
about if you're trained from single digit year old that
Yeah.
those people are cattle.
Yeah. And you have no
There's
empathy
no
at all.
right. There's no empathy.
Yeah, there's none.
Yeah. I mean, and then but then you think about cattle, like you could enjoy your having cows. You know, you could think cow is cute. You could enjoy having a cow on your farm, but you still know you're going to eat it. So when you think about what it means to directly translate to cattle and everything that that would entail, that's a tough pill to swallow, but it has to be swallowed by everybody that is
Apparently,
if
apparently
you're
with those families.
right, if you're super by the letter of it, anything under two, fine. Any cattle are going fine. That's not a problem. I mean,
That's
I'm
just
just talking. I'm not making up anything here. I'm just talking about what's in the book.
oh, I'm aware. And I've
Yeah,
heard the speeches too, where they say it's because a hymen will grow back up until 3 years old.
that's it. Oh, maybe
That
it's three. It's either two or three. You're right.
I think it's
That-
three, but
Yeah.
but it's
Yep.
like
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm also a mom, and any grown man like doing that to any little kid, but especially 3 to younger. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, 8 and younger. Like just it makes me uh, have violent thoughts.
Yeah. It gives you the ew. It gives you the yeah. It does all of that. But you have to. But then part of being an integral consciousness is that you can, not tribal, not postmodern. If you're in an integral consciousness, you put your consciousness into that being's consciousness. If that happened to them when they were under two, if that's how they grow up with that being normal, should they recognize that that's creepy, weird, and gross and horrible? I
Maybe
think
stop
so.
that.
I
Maybe.
think so.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so.
so. But if you're not allowed to talk about it anywhere, and in their
Right.
circle, everyone outside is cattle, meaning dumb also.
Right.
You're in your
I'm stuck.
bubble. You're stuck in that bubble. So they're a victim of circumstance, sort of. It's hard for me to say that, but it's, you can understand if you put your head into there. Now, I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
there's complete monsters that love the fact that what they're doing is hurting people, but I'm sure there's also people
Babies.
that just grew up in that manner and just that's their culture and they believe in the letter of the book. So then what do you do with that? You have to be aware that those people are out there. And it's certainly a super tiny percentage. It's not every Jewish person. It's not every person who wears a tiny hat. But they have factions. Just like in Christianity, the Jesuits are dangerous.
Is that Biden?
Hmm. The Jesuits are dangerous. You don't want to be in that clan either. The stuff and so there's a lot of dangerous factions in this world. A lot of
This is true. This
lot
is
of
true.
cults, the Skull and Bones. You don't want to be in a Skull
Mafia.
and Bones.
You don't want
You
to
don't
be
want to.
caught in the mafia. Exactly. Yeah.
You don't want to be in the Italian mob. You don't want to be in the Jewish mob. You listen to these old mobsters talking about stuff that happened back in the day, and now they're out and they talk about, and they're like, that's what they grew up in. It was normal. But now that they're in their 60s, 70s, and out of it, they're like, it was just really crazy that the stuff that I did and that everybody was doing. You know?
Oh, for what? God, I like camping.
Or the thing that we have to
I love meat, milk, and men and camping. I'm good.
people don't come out of the womb fully cooked. There's a lot. We're the most adaptable creature on earth because we adapt to our environments very well. And I'm just saying I have compassion for the people that came out through an environment where they were simulating sex acts as single digit years old in front of dinner parties.
I mean,
That's a tough way to grow up. It's a tough way to grow up if you're getting diddled and banged under 3 years old. It's fine, it'll grow back. That's a terrible way to grow up. I can't imagine what they're doing. But point is that this is the actual reality, and it
yeah,
needs to
and
be
I
noted. And
worry.
it can't be a trigger thing where you can't even say the J word, or you
Well,
can't
that's the
even.
thing. Now that
Yeah,
we're entering into the world of exposing everything, and it's being, the covers are lifting off of the shame and secrets, which is great.
yeah.
Uh, the people that are watching the reveal and having such a hard time with it, those are, I'm like, that's where I'm like, I feel compassion because I'm like, oh, your textbook is burning.
Well, right, and they're so egoic and they're applying judgment to everything. They're not using integral consciousness where they're trying to put their being in another person's consciousness to see the angle that they're looking at things through. Like I was just telling you about
Yeah,
people that came through these families, and these mafias and these cults like Skull and Bones. You know,
yeah,
there's
pretty
there's
got to be on drugs, really drunk.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of drug use and a lot of alcoholism, but that's how they came through. That's how their parents came through. That's how all of their business associates came through. They're in a little cult. I mean, you can look at little cults like Nexium. That one that came out where they were like raping all the women. It's like Nexium, NXIUM, I believe it was.
I don't
There's
know.
all kinds. There's little cults. There's little cults everywhere that and we are talking about a little cult here because we're not talking about all the Jews. We're talking about a tiny cult.
Kabbalah
It's
cult.
a kind of cabal cult in that happened to be that use those books to wield power because then they can use those books and that knowledge to get people to do things for them that aren't fully in the cult, that don't know everything that they're doing. That's why the books are a weapon. That's why the Bible can be a weapon. That's why the Talmud and the Torah are a weapon. That's why the Quran is a weapon. It can all be weaponized.
That's why I like dancing and meat, milk, and men and camping.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, so that's a sufficient bummer to end this on, and probably and everyone in the comments is silent.
It's
last
like,
one is
oh
last
no.
one is Unreal and OMG.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you yeah, well, all I can
I
say
don't
is
want I don't
she
want to
is
go off on a rant here, but apparently I did.
well, Candace Owens is really on a I applaud all of these journalists. I gotta say. I'm just like,
So far,
good
just
job.
most of the stuff that she talked about in the first three, I had already heard or read about. But I didn't need to read any of that because I can look with my two eyes at Brigitte and know that that's not a woman, just like Schumer's and just like Barbara Bush and just like Obama. You don't have you don't have to if you're it's obvious. Like let's not play games about it, you know.
Just can't. Anyway, side note, what do you know about putting uh avocado pits into alcohol for
I've heard something that's good about that, but
have
I
you
don't
done?
even
I did it today.
I,
I cut up an avocado and I put it in here.
I try
So
to not buy anything from California. And
touche.
avocados are
That's a
kind
good
of gross.
policy. No, California. California is so terrible. It's such a
Eh,
beautiful state. I lived there for so long. It's such a
I know,
beautiful.
but I just don't. It's about spending your money where you want to support. And so like I'll be at the grocery store and I'll be, ooh, made in California. I'll buy like I'll hunt through the citrus fruits and try to find the one in the
Florida.
store that's not made in California. All right, I'll take this one. You
Yeah,
know.
I think these are
And then
Mexican. I think these avocados are Mexican.
frankly, that's even worse.
I get. Oh my god, he makes me laugh when he talks about Canada and stuff. Oh my god, I just like dying.
You talking about Governor Trudeau?
So funny. I just so funny. I am the opposite of triggered by him. All my friends are like, "Oh my
The
god,
thing is,
I'm like,
some of the
he's funny."
some of the stuff that I've seen Canadians say and spout off, I'm like, I'm
Oh,
cool with Canada not being a state. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's fine. Y'all can do your thing up north. It's
that
fine.
is so funny.
But I
Oh,
also understand that anytime you can expand your land, like that's kind of the goal of any queen,
well, he is
king,
a real
leader.
estate mogul. I mean,
Right. And then the mineral resources, the water resources,
God.
but I just don't know what you do with all those brainwashed crazies that are in, because they just have a lot of brainwashed blue people up there. You know it too. You've talked to them. Come on.
Oh,
They
quit talking
do.
about my life.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of them up there
Oh,
because
gee.
they're very empathic, and an overabundance of empathy can lead you into a cult.
Well, it goes into that ego thing you said. It's like you're
Goodies,
touching my
goodies,
ego.
and bad.
You're touching my identity is in hatred of
Yeah,
the
and if your identity includes a blue or red team that is
thing.
outside of you, that's not part of you, that is not part of you. Hello, which
Yeah,
team is not a part of you? If
and
you're on
also
an
there's a
actual team that you're actually doing things for, you can get traded. You can get
ah!
a new contract with a different team. That's a team is a temporary state, not a permanent state. And in this country, the red and blue have changed.
Oh yeah.
They've, red was the party of war. Now blue is the party of war. So you have to be team fluid because the team is not a part of you. You join the team that you want to be a part of. So if somebody attacks the team, they're not attacking you.
And
It's
also, blue and red don't have anything to do with it. It's controlled.
yes, well they're both controlled. Right. That's why you have rhinos, and it's been controlled by the same group for
You
a
want to
very
say it
long
one more
time.
time? You want to say it one more time?
What? Well,
The
no, it's been
global
a
death.
yeah, sure. I mean, why the last two presidents, the last two presidents. Let's think of the last presidents that actually tried to change stuff. Kennedy, murdered.
Murdered.
Nixon, impeached. Reagan, shot, and not just a chunk of his ear missing, like in the hospital on like serious condition shot. And then the Clintons, of course, that they're in the global homo death cult. They were instrumental in
A lot
getting
of drugs too.
getting all the drugs into this country.
Arkansas, yeah.
And the Bushes, global homo death cult. I mean, look at Barbara. Come on. And then Obamas are part of the Bushes. Biden, clearly part of the Obamas. So how many real presidents have, and Carter, what, like the most ineffective, like beta, shouldn't be, he shouldn't be leading anything, let alone a country.
Oh my God, you're so funny. What? a lot of Canadians like Trump, though. Now, like a few of my friends there, and a lot of truck drivers. That's true.
Absolutely.
I
But
have a
if
lot of
you
workers that like him.
but if you take Canada and add 7 states, like you make each province a state, I would be very concerned that 5 of those would be blue.
Oh, I see. That's funny.
So I'd rather keep it as like Puerto Rico.
Your
Uh,
stepchild.
it's part of the country, but it's like the northern territories.
It's your stepchild.
Yeah. Yeah, you can vote for president, but that's it. Or not, I'm sorry, you can't vote for president if you're Puerto Rican.
And it's
Or can you?
so funny. He
Don't
is so
quote me on that.
funny. Oh my god. I laugh at my friends who are just so upset.
Emotional. And
They're
it's
so
crazy.
emotionally upset. Yeah, like can't get out of bed. Upset. No joke. Like they're toast.
Well, their ego is being attacked. That that hurts if you believe that you are your ego and your ego is getting attacked. That's painful. But somebody should point out to them that they are not the blue team. It's not part of them. It's a team that
Right.
it's a team that they can leave behind when
Going to
when you,
another team.
when you read about the dirty deeds that they've done. You can be like, oh, it hasn't been a great idea. Trying to go to war with Russia, who has nuclear weapons. The blue team was trying to start a war with Russia. Hello?
So stupid.
Crazy. Not crazy. Like trying to end the world crazy. They have bigger
We don't
nuclear
like being wrong. Gene said, "Yeah, no, that's for true. That's true." Well,
Right,
that's the
because
ego thing too. Like you don't like
that's
being
the
wrong
ego.
if that's your ego. Yeah.
Right, because you've brought it into your person, so it's not about wrong or right at that point. They're attacking you.
You.
But you
Yeah.
have to know that you are not your team.
Right.
You are not your beliefs. That's why in the beginning of this podcast, I said, I reserve the right to change all of my opinions that I've said. Upon more information, I reserve the right to change everything that I've just said in the past 2.5 hours.
There you go. Oh, we've been talking.
Yeah. And then I'm serious about that. And I think everybody should be serious about that. You get more evidence, then, change your mind. That's simple.
I'm getting more and more evidence that life is way easier than we make it.
For sure.
And it really boils down to meat, milk, and men. Thank you for being a good man. It's on my list of men. Meat, milk, and men. And minerals.
That's more M's, so it's a longer.
I know. Minerals, mushrooms, men,
Yeah.
meditation. Yeah.
Frankly, all of the good stuff starts with M.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm like, oh God, come on, Trump. You do you, but Jesus, the McDonald's thing.
System. He's got endless energy, so
Pretty funny. And he doesn't drink.
Well, that's a huge thing because he never put any of that toxins into his body.
Yeah. The way I have.
Yeah. And it pickles you, really. It damages. Like the stuff that they point the finger at, alcohol is much more cancer causing than anything else that they've pointed the propaganda finger at.
Right. But that's
It's
an
the
industry
worst.
that makes money.
Exactly. And most of the big alcohol companies are owned by the global homo death cult.
Oh God. Another reason to quit. Like you don't quit for yourself. You don't quit for your health. You quit as a revolutionary tactic.
And almost every superstar that's in the cult gets their own liquor. Clooney, Rock, the whole Louis Vuitton group, don't they have? Oh, Jay-Z. They all have liquors.
First of all, Jay-Z is so ugly. He's one of the ugliest people I've ever seen in my life. And so is Diddy. Diddy is very ugly. Who in the hell would be rolling around with either one of them?
Yeah, I mean, they're dudes.
I'm just being for real.
I don't look at them because they're dudes like that. But I will say that Diddy looks like a mouth breather.
He's a mouth breather, and he
He
looks like
a
a
mouth
black
breather.
Adam Sandler. You can
I
never
learned.
unsee it. He's a mouth breather who looks just like a black Adam Sandler.
Who said that?
Me. Diddy.
Oh, okay. I thought you were reading a comment.
No, that's me. Diddy.
Yeah.
Diddy's a
And
Adam
have you
Sandler.
seen Clive Davis, his mentor?
His rapist, you mean?
Yeah. And his mentor?
So gross.
Yeah. He's
the one who killed Whitney.
He looks like the Penguin.
That exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. Just so ugly. So ugly.
Yeah.
Of course they use the money to get anywhere in their world because they're in power and deceit and horrible things because they're so gross.
Well, I don't know, which they are you talking about here, Angela? So to make sure which they, I'm not sure what they you're talking about because I wouldn't want to make any assumptions that could be deemed anti anything.
They're the same.
You know, so.
Yeah, Michael Jackson too.
Okay, we'll leave on this Michael Jackson note because this is truly shocking. So Michael Jackson's security guard, or not security guard, like head of security, was on the job 2 weeks when Michael died. 2 weeks, because his guy that was like 75 years old retired. He said to Michael, "Look, I'm just too old. I can't do it anymore. Love you like a son. Can't do it anymore. I'm old. Have to retire." Brings in this new guy. 2 weeks later, he's dead. The new guy moves on from Michael to Diddy. He was Diddy's head of security whole time since Michael. He has connections to you know who, the CIA.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and I think they killed Michael, and I think he was trying to open his mouth about it, and they threw him under the bus and the whole thing.
Of course, I mean he was messing with big time people. He was messing with Sony,
and he owned Master too.
Yes, he did. So he was.
And they were like
Prince too.
Yeah,
Prince too. I mean, he was outspoken in the 90s. Prince, can you imagine trying to pull the shit that they pulled recently with Prince around, what Prince and Michael would have been saying? Oh, it would have been, they would have had people's ears because they are integrated into people's egos. So a lot of the propaganda would have just gotten blown up by Mike and Prince talking about it.
If they're dead.
But not if they're dead. So then the other interesting thing, so literally head of Mike's security, Michael Jackson's security, for 2 weeks, Michael dies, moves on to Diddy, and is Diddy's head of security until modern time. He also owns one piece of interesting property that happens to be on the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, if you were bringing certain things to a freak-off party and you owned land on the U.S.-Mexico border,
you just let them walk across.
Diddy's security, Michael's security for 2 weeks.
That's terrifying.
Right.
Where's that in any kind of information? Nowhere.
I mean,
you can find all of this stuff, just like you can find, that yellow dye number 5 gives birth defects. I mean, you can find all this stuff.
And I might have read about this 5 years ago, and maybe now it's hard to find, but I did read that. Now, did I double, triple, quadruple fact check it? No, it's you pick a little bit here, a little bit here. Oh, same name here. Two separate sources, same security guard. Get out of here. You know what I mean?
And I wouldn't trust Clive Davis, because I think that guy's a murderer.
I mean, yeah.
Anyway, I didn't say nothing. I'm just a comedian.
I don't know. I haven't done any deep dives on Clive Davis at all. But I would imagine
you'll run into Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Diddy.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a crazy world we're living in.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad I'm not in any of those. And awful with Bieber. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
like Reverend Cat Williams says.
Cat Williams, I love that guy. And also, like, if you really want to open up all that world, that's the MK Ultra stuff too.
Yeah.
That's like next level creepy. And then you're like, if they're doing all this MK Ultra on the celebs and the Mickey Mouse stuff and all that stuff, I mean, aren't they doing MK Ultra and the Mockingbird on us?
Well, Mockingbird was
Mockingbird
designed
is on
for
us,
us. Yeah.
right? But like MK Ultra, wouldn't they be doing that
Well,
mind?
MK Ultra would require like you to be put in a cell and
Oh,
given a bunch of drugs and completely deconstruct who you are and then reconstruct a new being, essentially, is what they do.
right.
But you know, what's his name? Sirhan, who's in prison for killing RFK, says he has no memory of shooting RFK, not RFK, like current RFK, but there was RFK Senior, I guess, the one that was killed in 1968. He
Wow.
claims to have no memory at all. And then Jack Ruby, just for the record, his real name is Jack Rubenstein. Thank you.
Tiny hat.
And he was in a mafia.
Oh God.
He was in an actual mafia. Jack Rubenstein.
Okay.
What mafia might have that been?
Tiny Hat Club. Or the
And he killed Oswald.
who killed
Who
supposedly
supposedly killed
uh
Kennedy, even though Kennedy's head moves in the wrong direction from the angle that
yeah,
he was
hasn't that
shooting
come
at.
out? Aren't the people reading all that yet? Has that come out yet? The files?
I haven't looked into it
Like,
because it's the all of the files haven't come out,
okay.
and I don't want to get involved in the trickles. I just want
Right.
it when they all come out, then I'll look at it. But I mean, I've seen the video. There's at least two bullets that hit him from two different directions. So it
Right.
can't just
Which
be
is what
Oswald. That's
exactly.
clear. And it's also clear that the CIA was very pissed at him. It's clear that a certain country in the Middle East that's on the Mediterranean was very pissed at him because he was going after their nuclear weapons program, and he was telling them that their lobby that was not registered as a lobby needed to register as a lobby. So they were very upset with him. So that's a whole country in the Middle East. The CIA was upset with him. And the bankers were upset with him because he was trying to end the Federal Reserve. And he had already released ones and fives. And next was going to be 20s. And next was going to be 100s. And then the Federal Reserve would have been insignificant.
And so they
So the bankers were pissed. The CIA was pissed. The mafia was pissed because he was going after the multiple mafias as well. And the country in the Middle East, Israel, was pissed. So there was a massive group that wanted Kennedy that would have wanted Kennedy dead. So and so maybe there was a conspiracy.
no.
Oh yeah, it was probably just magic bullet
Yeah.
zigzag through a bunch of
Oh yeah,
people.
absolutely magic.
And
And
he
then
got and he
snap.
got hit, and instead of going forward, he went backwards.
Weird how that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And then all the reports on the ground saying that there was bullets whizzing from every direction. That's what the people in the crowd were saying.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So the goal was to get him
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
whichever way, shape.
And LBJ, who was the vice president at the time, was known for running Texas like a gangster. Because Texas was LBJ's home state. Where did the shooting happen?
Texas.
Texas.
He was in on it too
Yeah.
to become vice president
To become president.
or become president, right?
Yeah. And his mother was Jewish. And so he was a big Zionist. He was a big pro-Israel. Then during that time is when the nuclear weapons got stolen from us, or the ability to build it got stolen from us. Kennedy was going to do nuclear inspections. So if Kennedy's not killed and LBJ doesn't become president, Israel doesn't get nuclear weapons. The Fed is ended because he was ending the Fed. He wasn't allowing Israel to have nuclear weapons.
So they're hating on Trump too.
So if you don't get nuclear weapons, you're not a superpower. So, I mean, just think about how different the world is because one person was murdered. And then Nixon, of course, was the guy that you can listen to his recordings where he was talking about all the fags. He, you know, how the fags ran shit, and he's tired of all the fagginess or whatever. That was the term he used.
Instead of global homo death cult.
And he alluded that he knew who killed Kennedy. And then the first article that a fresh out of Naval Academy, what was his name? The guy that wrote the article on Watergate. His name's escaping me, but it was the very first article that he wrote, fresh out of the Naval Academy. I mean, does it get out of the? I'm sorry, Naval Intelligence. So that's right connects to the CIA.
Crazy. Scary.
Yeah.
Dean said it too. It's scary because, like, gosh
And
darn,
then-
we literally living in a stage. Like the world is a stage.
Exactly. And Kennedy said we're going to fund and go to the moon, and LBJ faked it. Because it was under LBJ's presidency that we went to the moon. So don't be surprised that that somebody who ran Texas like a gangster, who's connected to another country, who's helping them get nuclear weapons, also faked going to the moon. It's like somebody who's involved in a murder scheme. Don't be surprised that he also faked a moon landing. You know, it's not too far fetched.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then you listen to the astronauts, Neil Armstrong. No, not Armstrong. One of them, whoever, Buzz Aldrin. You listen to his speech admitting that he didn't go.
Like, you didn't go. You're watching the simulation.
Yeah.
But how is he allowed to say that and still be alive?
I think it was so old, and you know, it was so many years later that media didn't run it. You know, it wasn't the lead story on CNN. Let's just say that. I'm sure they didn't cover it at all.
But there's a lot of people who are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then when you start looking into it, you're like, wait, what? There's no way that the tin can could have gotten across.
They kill the last American president, then LBJ, then Nixon they impeach, and then during that time, race riots, swine flu, bad vaccination, gas crisis,
So it's the same
super high inflation,
script.
same script that we just went through again.
So it's literally just
the same cabal running the same thing. They killed that guy so that they could run their script. They're running the same script again today. Yeah. And then Ghislaine Maxwell's father was Mossad and owned the company that made the textbooks for the majority of schools in the U.S.
Oh, yeah, that's messed up. And then for those who don't know that,
McGraw-Hill, McGraw-Hill was, I think, his name of the company.
That's crazy.
Maxwell owned that, and he fell off of a yacht. You believe that?
Right.
He fell off of a yacht.
So
Dead.
crazy. Got pushed.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So.
Wow. And that's, for those who don't know, that was Epstein's
right
hand lady.
I think that Maxwell was probably the boss of Epstein.
Yeah, that might have been the case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why she's still alive, and he's dead, supposedly. Other people say he wasn't actually killed. So, and then you look into his connections to Lex Wexner and Victoria's Secret and The Limited, and how he's like Lex Wexner's best man. I mean, gives him apartments, planes, because Wexner has unlimited money. Where's the tiny hat? I'm not happy to report it. I'm just saying.
It's just so funny.
So Ghislaine's father, Mossad, Epstein's right-hand man, Wexner. I mean, it sucks. It points another arrow. It's not my where I want the arrow to point to. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
But
it's
it's where
kind
it
of
goes.
weird that. But what are you saying? You can't say that. Yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
just saying the truth, wherever the
I was
truth
saying the
follows.
truth, just the web of people, and
Yeah.
I had a family member who literally won't talk to me anymore
Oh yeah. I mean,
because you're like, it's like back in the 2020 that everything you said you're a racist now. And I got called, oh, you're a racist. I'm like, you're an idiot. You're retarded if you think I'm a racist. But hey, yeah, sure. Give me that one too. I'll take
I
it.
I think yeah. I think that's where people are at right now. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm a racist. Okay. Oh,
because it's like,
all
go see
right.
any of my movies, and you're like, oh, yeah, that
Right.
doesn't make
And
any
then
sense at all.
coming
But
coming
okay.
from someone who's like in a consciousness that goes back to like before medieval times, tribal consciousness. It's like, oh, you're a tribal consciousness person is calling me a racist. It doesn't exactly hit hard. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, that's just like your opinion, man. You know? It doesn't carry the weight that it used to carry. I don't think so.
Not anymore, no.
Yeah.
It's I think people are, but I mean, for 4 years, in 2020 especially,
Yeah.
I got death threats and all kinds of shit.
The anti-Semitic thing carries a lot of weight, but that's about to expire. I mean, it hasn't expired yet, but it is. And yeah, and for the record, look, I'm just saying the evidence that where it points,
It's kind of
it's
weird.
it is not my choice that this is where the evidence points. It
Like,
just
oh
does.
look, it's to another tiny hat. That's weird. Or a
Right.
homo death cult.
Yeah.
I feel bad for all my gay friends. It's like it's not that you're not in the death cult. It's just that they just happen to be also homo.
Right. Yeah. And then also, you know, the drivers that are making this happen and how many of them that are homosexual were raped. Maybe they wouldn't be if they weren't raped.
Hey, you know what?
Have
I
little
talked to a lot of trans because of my movie, and also like, and so I've been all around the country with it and had screenings and whatever. And I've met a lot of trans people. And you
mm,
know me, everybody tells me their deepest, darkest secrets. Like I'm like, oh, I've never told anybody this before. And I'm like, yeah.
yep.
And I have not ever, maybe they're out there, but I've never met a trans person who was not also sexually abused as a kid.
And that's what you just making my point, you know. So if there's a global homo death cult, they're making these people.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And then it's
worst.
not, don't be surprised that they're promoting this. And forever, the things that were promoted were the things that make children because that's why you get a discount for being married. You know, because a man and woman together can make a child. If you don't make children, your country ends. If you don't birth children at replacement rate, capitalism doesn't work. So that's why you only promote things that will give children and you don't promote the things that won't. So it's fine, be a homosexual, but you shouldn't get the marriage discount. You shouldn't, because you're not making children. It shouldn't be promoted because that's not moving the country forward, right? I mean, you can't,
I see your point. Yeah.
yeah. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, but it shouldn't be the promoted way of living life if you want to continue to have a country
Yeah.
another generation. And
When they were
that's
in the,
why it's always been shunned and always been not, shouldn't be part of the mainstream. Another, like, why do they get a whole month? Mothers get 1 day. 1 day.
that's
Why
funny.
there should be a mother's month before there's a gay month. There should be a father's month before there's a gay month. why is Black History Month the shortest month of the year? And then the alphabet soup gets the middle of the summer.
That's really funny.
They're a
Well,
smaller,
I did
they're a
notice,
much bigger minority than blacks.
I
You know
did
why?
notice when they were going to the schools and indoctrinating all the little kids, and I was
Yeah.
like, who's running that? Who's behind that?
If a woman came in lingerie and read
Yeah,
a book to children,
that's not cool.
people would have a problem with that. But if a man who's dressed as a woman comes in lingerie, then that's cool. You have to be supportive. That's
That's
brainwashing.
coming from brainwashing. It's coming from
Brain
indoctrination from creepy weirdos that want this. I mean, it is.
from the
It is.
global homo death cult.
I mean, it is. It really is. It's like you're like, what?
Yeah.
And who put this? And then the books that they had. Did you ever see any of the books they were showing?
Oh,
Like, did you masturbate today and shit? You're just like, oh,
I listened to some men reading the books in front of the
like,
school boards, and they're like and
fuck.
it was to just hear like a guy shaking his head and then reading that stuff off is crazy. Yes, so
And
uh,
meanwhile, they're cutting books like To Kill a Mockingbird and shit. You're like, what?
right,
Like
yeah,
these classics, these amazing classic books. They're like, no. But you're
yeah,
talking about
that song they were trying to cancel that song "Baby It's Cold Outside" when the number one hit in the country was "Wet Ass Pussy." That song from like the
you're
1920s.
making the point. Yeah, exactly. Baby, it's cold outside.
They were trying
Yeah.
to cancel that song while the number one song was "Wet Ass Pussy." And I don't look. I don't know what label did "Wet Ass Pussy." I haven't researched it, but I have a feeling. I just have a feeling that that's going to go into tiny hats. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's
Hilarious.
see. We'll end it on that.
The point is, there's an agenda.
Which label did WAP?
You're gonna get canceled on here. This is why we can't go live on mine.
It
What'd you
was.
say? What the hell did you say?
Let's see.
I'm gonna practice shutting up.
Okay, so what Atlantic Records. Let's see who runs Atlantic Records. I hope it's not, but okay, Atlantic Records. Oh, Warner Music Group. Great. They're like 2 blocks from me. Who currently owns Atlantic Records? Warner Music Group. Yeah. I have a feeling by this name that I am unfortunately right, but
Oh God. Could it be? Could it be? They got all the porn too.
yep. So his father is Lucian Grange, who also runs a music group. Lucian Grange.
Fortunate name.
I guess I'll just Lucian Grange.
That's an unfortunate name.
You're not going to believe this. Sir Lucian Grange is Jewish. He was raised in a Jewish family in North London. So, bummer. Well, I didn't want it to be another tiny hat person, but it
You
is.
wanted a goyim in there or something? I mean,
I
why?
wanted it to be a nice goyim and
What's the
running the
problem with
universal
the tiny
group.
hat? What's your problem with the tiny hat?
No problems. No problems with the tiny hat. None whatsoever. I don't. I really, really don't. It's just
Oh
the
my God.
coincidences keep on happening.
It's a little weird. But hey, anyway, Clive. How's Diddy doing? Diddy's still in jail.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything about that since the fires. Did you notice?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I think the Diddy thing is also supposed to help us forget Epstein.
Yeah.
So,
And all the billionaires.
yeah, Dick Durbin blocked the Epstein stuff from being released. So, I'm curious.
Peon.
Dick
There's a
Durbin,
guy I
he's an
follow on.
Illinois. He's an Illinois politician. It doesn't get any more corrupt or globo homo death cult than Illinois, which
Oh, really?
I don't want it to be the case, but that's where Barack Obama came through. Illinois. He was an Illinois senator. So
The guy, what's his name? He is Ryan Dawson, I think. I follow him on X. He's a journalist. He already put out the Epstein list. He's done it a couple times. He's like, please listen. He compiled it. He went through all of the testimonies, and he compiled the list.
really,
It's a bunch of billion. Yeah, he's a Ryan Dawson. Let me see here.
I swear I've seen like a list before, but I think the other thing too is it has to be the official list
Right.
before you're allowed to go after these people. And oh, oy vey, don't tell me
The
that there's
server
a
down.
that there's a lot of tiny hats in that list.
Yeah.
I hope not. I really hope not.
Oh, here his pinned post right now is how Israel maintains control over the U.S. 4 parts. This is all. He's a really good journalist, like kind of like an unsung like a Ian Carroll, but he's a journalist, dude. He's
Well,
really cool.
I mean, there is a lot of evidence to support that I've read. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, oh, all of y'all obsessing about the island need to understand that most of the time the girls were brought to the men, not the other way around. And the majority of visitor activity was done in New York, Florida, and Paris. I'm like, interesting. And he keeps saying, he's like, I already did the list. I already did this list. Here it is.
But the thing is, the problem, it could be right, but in order for you to publicly shame and throw stones, it needs to be an official list.
Right. From who?
From the government, from something in the government. That gives it legitimacy where you're like, okay, you creepers, why are you? Then you can go after and say, I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell is the only pimp in prison that has no Johns. How does that happen?
It's weird.
Right. Doesn't there have to be Johns for there to be a pimp in prison?
Yeah.
So, I mean, make it make sense.
Yeah, it needs to release.
Corruption.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, one nation under blackmail. And the CIA was founded under blackmail because Hoover was a cross-dresser and gay, and a certain mafia that wears tiny hats had the photos of him. So the foundation of our intelligence agency in this country was controlled
by the global homo death cult.
And then the problem is Israel wasn't a country yet. It was just becoming a country, and it was run by gangsters in the 40s and 30s.
Yes.
They were murdering the British. They were murdering the British who gave them the land. They were murdering the British because they wanted to get all the British out. So it's a wild history. And okay, I'll leave it at this.
No, you won't.
No, this is for real. The last thing. No one should be surprised that gangsters, if you are willing to do anything, right? If you have no moral compass and you're a gangster, why should we be surprised that they got to the top? Why should we be surprised that people that are breaking rules were able to get to the top? We shouldn't be.
No, it's of course.
The only thing that you know is if you cheat, lie, steal, yeah, you'll get to the top, but then eventually you end up in prison. Or eventually you end up on death row. We shouldn't be surprised that happens, and that's what's happening now. But they're different, they're cabals of gangsters. So, and I think that's what's happening now is that, the mafia, the global homo death cult, is about to be fully exposed.
Wow. I can't wait. I'm so fascinated watching people be able to swallow it or not.
Yeah, they're doing their best to keep them on their team, but
Subdued. Angry.
the reason why they're not able to get out of bed and so emotionally triggered right now is because so much truth is hitting them that they're going into pain. Yeah, it's like ego death, and that's tough. A lot of But all right, that's all I got. I'm getting tired.
Same
Did
here.
43 minutes of saying one last thing.
I know. Here's my final thing. Health. Going back to health. What do
Okay.
you have to say about the black seed bitters and the sour sop bitters? Have you heard about those that people take for their gut cleaning? What do you like?
I just don't really believe so much in cleanses. I mean, I believe that our body is supremely intelligent and is always trying to make us the best that it can. So you put in the building blocks, it'll exchange copper, it'll get rid of the bad metals for the good metals if you take it. But also, I haven't looked a whole bunch into it. I mean, if I had a kid that had 72 vaccines, I would probably be looking into heavy metal detoxes too.
Is that what that is? The bitters?
Well, black seed bitters, that to me sounds like like a concentrated black seed oil.
Huh.
So I take black seed oil. Black seed oil
I
is
do too.
fantastic. It's the best.
I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
take some here shortly. Fantastic stuff. Black seed bitters is probably a concentrated black seed oil. Sour sop, that's Dr. Sebi is big on that. I think that's like an anti-cancer thing.
Yeah, it's like people are. I just
The,
see a
the
lot about
problem
it. They
the problem
take
with
it.
the sour sop thing is that comes from Sebi, and Sebi was a big vegan guy. So I kind of don't. I know that that's not right. So
Yeah.
I don't put a whole lot of weight on sour sop because of that. Black seed oil works though.
Oh yeah, I noticed. I've got it in my car even.
I've been taking sea moss forever, and I can't tell. I don't know. Black seed oil I can tell, but sea moss is cheap enough. I'm still taking it because people say it's fantastic.
And you're like, here we go.
Yeah, diatomaceous earth, that stuff I think really works.
For what?
Diatomaceous earth is to help you detox from barium and aluminum,
Oh,
the stuff that they spray on us. If you
okay.
take too much of it, it can make you sick, but it has a very high silica content. And make sure you get human grade because it's also used for plants. And the plant stuff does not can contain heavy metals.
That's really funny.
Right. So get the human
Don't
grade
use
stuff.
the one for the garden. I think I've got some because I first bought some. I just haven't used it. It's in my
Yeah.
massive collection of stuff.
Yeah, just watch out if you take too much, it can make you like nauseous. But it hydrates the fascia because it's silica. Silica, if we were drinking water out of streams, that water would have high silica content. But we're not drinking
Mm,
water out of streams, so
cool.
and it's also really like particulate.
Hmm.
It makes water cloudy. So nobody's serving us bottled water that's cloudy, that's loaded with silica.
Right. But
So it
that's
just
what to put in your water: diatomaceous earth and
right.
salt.
So it just makes sense to me that we might be low on silica. So that's why I do take the diatomaceous earth.
Nice.
Not as much as I'd like to because it's kind of gross. It tastes like nothing, but it's like you looks like you're drinking mud.
Right. That's why you can put it in one of those. One of these. Can't even see it.
I guess. I don't know. I don't have a big water bottle like that. I just feel funny carrying it.
I know you mentioned it. It's so funny. It's really
It's
funny.
like carrying like a binky or something around. A
Yeah.
little sip.
All the working boys have those.
Really?
Mhm.
That makes sense if you're out sweating all day. And a lot of people fill it with wine too, so they can make it through the day. They need to get regenerate. RG8 rg-8.com.
Jesus.
All right. Good talk.
Fun.
I think we definitely triggered
Longest
people.
one.
Do you think we triggered anybody?
If they watched till when we started talking about tiny hats, yes, I'm sure they triggered. And if anybody watches it and sees that I think Trupp is funny, I think definitely. Because I've literally had people lose their minds when they saw that. They're like, wait, what? You think he's funny? You know? One girl, actually, she just goes, I can't handle it. I'm mortified. I'm mortified.
You're gonna like. I had some liberals
Okay.
on my bike ride. This is gonna make people not want to come to my bike ride, perhaps. But no, I'm sorry. It was a husband, non-liberal, wife, liberal, and the husband was loving my jokes, and so we go through a neighborhood 12 South, and then I was like, a lot of Mexican restaurants in 12 South. Some would say too much. We're gonna do something about it.
Oh no. That's terrible. That's terrible.
There's too many though on the street. There's literally 6 Mexican restaurants. Let's get some diversity here, you know.
That's really funny. Put an Indian in.
Yeah. some different seasonings on this block.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Your ride is really fun. I miss it. I want to come down and do it. I'm like, I miss
come on down.
I've been non-traveling for so long, but I have a book.
Me too.
A whole bunch of stuff. So it's like it's been like this, like it's getting ready to do something, ramp up something. I got my outfit. I'll tell you about that next week.
All right. Well, all right. We'll see you next Thursday for Truth Thursdays.
Okay, bye.
We need a intro and outro music. I'll work on that.
Don't use
hit the xylophone real quick. All right, we're out.